Greetings, family. I am literally just walking in the door. I had my sitar class tonight. So give me a second so I can pull everything out. Yup. That. That. And is it this? I think it's, let's see. Yeah. This book. And that's, yeah, this book. And there is one more, that book, and I think it was this book here. All right. Yeah, this book. Okay. All right. Okay. So, greetings, family. Hope everyone is well. Let me log on to this IG real quick, like. Let's do it this way. Greetings, weavers. How y'all doing? All right. Oh, that is annoying. Let's see. Oh. All right. Okay. There. And nope. There. Okay. Just pulling myself together. Like I said, I literally just, I think I got in the door at 8:56 from my sitar class. So I'm literally just walking in the door. I had several readings and consultations to do today. Okay. All right, cool. We are live. Okay. So, yeah, you know what? Let me put something there. What's up, big head? What's up, big head? Me? Yeah, you would swear they so neglected. Me? All right. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, greetings, family. My name is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the DaughterOfTheFates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Back at y'all with another live. This is a part 2 of the live that we started on Saturday, which was entitled, this was the temple service on Saturday, which was entitled The Ides of March. So I'm going to begin with the global conspiracy of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. We're going to do some shout outs and some housekeeping. Then we'll get right back into the topic. Okay. Oh man, here we go. Awesome. Thank you for the donation, Devin. Thank you so much. That's what's up. Okay. I, Cassandra-Floyd, as a peculiar expression of the almighty divine she, the great cosmic mother, now join in breath with my global family to conspire on behalf of the whole made well. We are breathing these words together to ensure our home, her body, is restored to her original perfect glory. Her glory is perfect in peace, love, bliss, happiness, and ecstasy. This world exists because we collectively will it so. We, as the representatives of the mother's reign on earth, speak this beautiful conspiracy as a single cosmic earthly orchestra to guarantee heaven on earth in joyful compliance with our mother's divine will. Possessing the power of our mothers, we speak this glorious future now. It is certainly as we say, Mommy and I are one. So there we go. We got the global conspiracy on deck, opening up this most powerfully radical week. You feel me? Some housekeeping and some shout outs. So again, I did several readings and consultations today. So I want to thank the people who reached out to get readings. It was a great week. It was a great way to start this week, to get readings, divination, and wellness consultations. So I want to big up the people. They know who they are, who took advantage of that this week. Also, one of the people that I did a consultation for today, I don't know if he wants to be named, but this brother has been a follower of my channel for a little bit over a year. And so I did the reading, the consultation for him today. And after I did the consultation, he gave me an extraordinarily generous donation, like crazy generous. So I want to shout him out. He knows who he is. That was really a great way to bring a certain type of energy into this week. So I'm grateful that happened. I'm grateful for him assisting in this week opening up in a very prosperous and abundant way. So shout out to that brother. Let me take this out. I'm gonna need this too. So housekeeping for those of you who, especially this week, as a matter of fact, reel that back, especially for the next 2 weeks from actually beginning last week on the 12th all the way through to the 31st. Literally every single day is something monumental. So if you want to tap into, plug into, get your life right in preparation for these next 2 weeks, make sure you book your readings. I am steadily plowing through those people who were the winners of the raffle that we did. And so if I have not heard from you, check your email so that you can go ahead and book your whether you want a consultation or a 30-minute or a 60-minute divination. Make sure to go ahead and check your email, because in your email that I sent you telling you what you won and what my days and times are that are available, make sure to do that. Make sure to check in with me. So that you can, we can get that taken care of. We can get that taken care of. Okay. Also, so if you want to get your reading, email me. Make sure to put in the subject header, because again, if you've never emailed me before, and you don't have like a subject header in the email, I have a lot of stuff that ends up going to spam, and I don't check that as often as I should. I don't check it daily, but make sure you're putting in the subject header, divination or wellness consultation or 5 elements. Send me an email, which is EvoEmeTemp, EvoEmeTemp That's Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. Okay. So email me if you need a divination. Okay. That same email address, email me if you need a divination, email me if you need a wellness consultation, email me if you have any questions, whatever. Okay. EvoEmeTemp is also the email that you can use if you would like to send a contribution, a donation, a contribution. EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com is the email that you can use to send a Zelle. If you want to send a PayPal, that is $Iyapo Ngina, IYAPO, IYAPO Ngina. All of this information is also in the description box below this video if you're tuning in via YouTube. But I'm just going to reiterate it as part of the house cleaning. Okay, so that's at sign IYAPONGINA. If you want to use PayPal, if you want to use Venmo, it's my name, Cassandra, with 2 S's, -Floyd. Cassandra-Floyd for Venmo, and $ DaughterOfTheFates on Cashapp. Also, if you want to check out what I have on my Etsy store, I'm also probably tomorrow, because tonight's already late. Tomorrow, I am going to initiate a sale for the rest of the month. I had been meaning to do it, but I have been overwhelmed. You feel me? I'm going to initiate a sale for the rest of the month because it is Women's History Month. And like I said, at the beginning of the month, which just seemed like yesterday, at the beginning of the month, I am really highlighting this and celebrating the constitutions, celebrating and highlighting the gifts and contributions of Black-skinned women. Okay, so starting tomorrow through the 31st, go on my Etsy store and you will find that there will be a pretty generous discount that will be offered for the rest of the month. Everything in the store, this applies to everything in the store. So my Etsy store is DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. DaughterOfTheFates, FATES.etsy.com. That's the housekeeping, I believe. Okay. We got a lot to cover. We covered a lot on Saturday. A lot. I think it was like 4 hours. 4 hours this video was on Saturday. And a lot of you had a lot to say about the video on Saturday. And I'm telling you, we weren't even halfway through the content. So let's just go. All right. I'm not going to recap. So if you need to figure out what you missed on Saturday, which is very important in preparing yourself for the rest of the year, there were 2 major events, astronomical and astrological major events last week, whose impact will last for a very, very long time. So if you missed the content for that, go back to the video, the last live that I did on Saturday, which is a part 2 of this one entitled The Ides of March. Okay. So how I'm going to start is I'm actually going to start by talking about why the video was called The Ides of March. Okay. So, and this is a very superficial explanation, but I wanted to say that. I started out last week by saying, or this past weekend by saying that if any of you actually paid attention in high school, at some juncture, somebody was going to make you learn the speech from Shakespeare about Julius Caesar, and you're going to have to learn the speech that he made when he was betrayed by his people and was murdered. Was murdered on March 15th of 44 BCE. Okay, the Ides of March is not specific to Caesar, but it was made popular by Caesar, by the murder of Caesar on March 15th of 44 BCE. Okay, the Ides of March had been celebrated for a millennia prior to the death of Julius Caesar. The Ides just means the middle of the month, right? It's typically the 14th or the 15th of any month. And the Ides of March was actually a celebration that was a week-long celebration that occurred in early goddess worshiping society, pre-Greek domination, pre-Roman domination, that was in celebration of the goddess Sybil. Okay, spelled Cybele, Sybil, the goddess Sybil. And let's see, I didn't take a whole bunch of notes about her, but I just thought that was interesting. The only time I had ever heard about the Ides of March was in reference to Julius Caesar, but in actuality, for several hundred years, the Ides of March which was celebrated from beginning on March 15th and ending on March 28th. Okay, beginning on March 15th, ending on March 28th, in celebration of the goddess Sybil and her consort, the god Addis, which a consort is like a lower deity that kind of serves the major deity. Okay, so this was her son. Her consort Addis was her son. Okay, let me see if I wrote any more. Let's see. I thought that was interesting. Let's see. Okay, so that's where it ends. Let's see. Yeah, I think that I didn't write that much about her. I guess I thought I was gonna do more later. I told y'all I've been taking like a million levels, but I wanted to give that overview. I thought it was important. And I'll tell you why I thought it was important. Because y'all have been, most of you have been following my channel long enough to know that I am always seizing the opportunity to expose those stories, those historical stories, those stories that we may be well acquainted with. And I'm always seizing the opportunity to expose those stories that are typically outright thefts or plagiarisms of the evidence of the goddess. Okay. I hope I was clear in saying that, because every story that we know of, man, I'm telling you, I'm convinced that there's probably not a story that we know that champions, that puts forth, that big ups some male deity, some male human, some male hero. Probably every single solitary story that we know, no matter what our culture is, no matter what our history is an outright plagiaristic theft of the evidence of the goddess prior to the emergence of that male. I know that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. It's not me being anti-male. It is me telling you that the more we dig into the actual corresponding histories to these mythologies, the more the mother makes herself known. The more the mother exposes the criminality of what has actually happened to all human beings, particularly over the last 6,000 to 8,000 years. Listen, the deeper you go, the more she reveals herself. You feel me? And so, again, I didn't even expect that it was going to be a thing. What I typically do is if there is some significant date associated with particular astrological movements, my default, it's how I started studying astrology in the first place, is to Google that date and, this date in world history, this date in American history, this date in African history, this date in South American history. What was happening in Asia on this date? That's my default, is to want to know the significant historical events that correspond with this up and coming astrological occurrence. You feel me? So when I did that with the Ides of March, it was interesting. It's going to be an eventual deep dive that I go into, but I wanted to like condense. But that's some wormhole that some of you can go into, is the goddess Sybil, Cybele, and the celebration called the Ides of March, which was celebrated under her adoration, or under the period of her, of her reign, that took place from March 15th to March 28th. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that as we lead into what is happening significant for the rest of this month. Okay, so we talked on Saturday again. So if you missed the Saturday live, go back to the Saturday live. I will just bullet point say the event so far that we had talked about was the Saturn Sun Conjunction in Pisces, which began on last Wednesday, March 12th. the Venus retrograde, the Venus stationing retrograde in, is that right? Let's see. She is currently retrograde in Pisces and will be shifting her direction. Venus, let's see. Yeah, no, she, damn, my notes is looking crazy. Hold on. Let me get my other notes. Let's see. Yes, she is currently, as of March 1st, Venus is retrograde in Aries. And remember, I told you that that shift of Venus retrograde in Aries will shift into Pisces. And Pisces on March 27th. March 27th, okay? But that while Venus is retrograde in Aries, remember I told you, according to the astrologer Dan Waite, whose information is listed in the description box below, says that this is quintessentially known as the sex with your ex transit. So be on the lookout, be mindful of, be wary of if you need to. You know what kind of exes you done had, because this transit until March 27th is one of those ones where some ex from your past is going to try to slide in your DMs, going to send you a text after you ain't talked to them in a year, and try to, on some reminiscent shit, get back in the draws. This is the sex with your ex transit. So be mindful of that. If you had great exes, no harm, no foul. Maybe you'll get some good sex out of it. Okay. And then, as you know, 2 days after that, we began with the Virgo lunar eclipse, aka blood moon, which was in Virgo. And then when I did the live on Saturday, I told you about what happened here in Los Angeles. If you missed it, go back to Saturday's live. Okay. All right. So those are the big things that have happened so far. Okay. Today is the 17th. And in 2 days, on March 19th, which is Wednesday, we will be experiencing another conjunction. There are a lot of conjunctions this month. The Sun Neptune conjunction in Pisces, which is also big. Okay, so that is going to be happening. This year in general is really huge because I don't remember the exact time. I'll have to find it. But this is the first time in ages and ages and ages where all of the outer planets will be changing signs in the same year. All of the outer planets are changing signs in the same year. And it's some astronomical number. I don't know. Like, don't quote me on this. I keep telling you I'm not an astrologer. I study from a historical perspective. Okay. If I am not mistaken, it was like 800 something AD was the last time that all of the outer planets are what? Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Those are the outer planets. They're all shifting signs this year. Okay. So this is huge energy on top of this Saturn Sun conjunction that I was telling you about, which is called the Great Reset of the Pisces sky. This won't happen again until the year 2054. This is essentially the same gravity of, and it's happening in the node of fate. It's happening in the node of fate. So this is essentially the same kind of monumental and impactful energy as your own personal Saturn return on your birth chart. So this, and remember I told you that the Saturn Sun conjunction, the energy for this year for the Saturn Sun conjunction, which started last week, is to focus solely on your divine mission. Your divine mission. Focus on nothing else. What is my divine mission? What is my divine purpose? That's what you focus in on the rest of the year. So some of y'all gonna have a hard time. I'm hoping, you understand, I am conspiring that is not the case, that you can keep your eyes out of social media and doom scrolling and all of that carrying on, because this year, this this really radically beneficial energy known as the Saturn Sun Conjunction is assisting you in clarifying, in defining, in learning, if you have not, what your divine mission is. What is your divine purpose? Okay, that's that. All right, now let me tell you, this coming week, so the 19th, which is Wednesday, we have a Sun Neptune conjunction in Pisces, which is extremely emotional. You will be extremely sensitive if you are not focusing. If you are not focusing, for example, on your divine mission and your divine purpose, it will be very easy for you to be easily irritated or agitated, easily annoyed. But the other side of that is that it can highlight the possibility of receiving divine interventions in your dreams, right? In waking visions. It can open you up for signs and omens. So if you're focusing again on what? Your divine mission and your divine purpose, then this can be a really beneficial, a very beneficial astrological movement for you. This is occurring or beginning on Wednesday. On the 20th, which we all know, which is to me the big coup d'etat of this month. Okay, of this month, we have big coup d'etats. We just had this blood moon eclipse last week, which was nothing short of gangster. You feel me? Then a week later, we having this our equinox, but this equinox is unlike any other. Let me tell you why. Absolutely yes. Voss asks, can your greetings, can your reading help us determine what our mission is? Absolutely 1000% yes. The conjunction is happening on Wednesday, which is the day of Mercury communication. Mercury stationed retrograde the same day that we did the same day that the Ides of March began, the 15th. March 15th is the day that Mercury stationed retrograde, and Venus is already retrograde. Both retrograde in let me not lie. Yes, both of those, Mercury and Venus, right now are retrograde in Aries. Okay, all right, and so again, so it's Miss D asked that question. The Mercury, the conjunction is happening on Wednesday, which is the day of the Mercury communication. So I just want to say very quickly, ooh, I left my wine in the car. God damn it. I just want to say a few things. I'm gonna be giving y'all so much information. I hope you're taking you got pen and paper out. The Mercury retrograde. So again, I've talked to you about this before. I'm not going to talk to you at length, but I will reiterate. Don't be teasing me, girl. I bought 2 bottles of wine for this live and walked right out the car without it. Anyway, so the oh, you are dreaming right now. Says, girl, go get your wine. We'll wait. I probably will before it's all said and done. But let me roll with what I'm thinking about. Okay, so I've said in the past, I will say it again and again and again and again and again, that every single one of these planets, let me pull back for a second. Every one of these planets, especially what we call the 7 bigs, okay? Now, the reason that they're called the 7 bigs is that throughout for the last 25,000 years, okay, the planets that could be seen with the naked eye, or the heavenly bodies that could be seen with the naked eye, these were considered what they've always been considered as the seven heavenly bodies, and every culture has given them some other name. The 7 sisters, the 7 heavenly bodies. We also know the 7 sisters as the 7 brightest stars in the Orion constellation, but it's also been those planets that we could see with the naked eye, okay? Or those heavenly bodies. I say heavenly bodies because those 7 bodies in the sky that could be seen with the naked eye is the sun, the moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, let's see. The sun, the moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay? So let me just say, even though times have changed and those mythologies have changed about the seven bodies that we could see with the naked eye, in general, most cultures have some mythology or some mythological relationship and explanation about these seven entities. Okay, in Ifa tradition, it's the seven African powers. Okay, those same planetary bodies are associated characteristic wise with the seven phases or faces of the moon, so on and so forth and so on. The reason I'm digressing here is because for the greater part of the human epoch, all of those bodies, yes, including the sun, were seen as feminine. Okay? It is only at the advent of the rise and emergence of patriarchal society in conjunction, in harmony with patriarchal societies and the emergence, the simultaneous emergence of patriarchal deities, patriarchal father gods. Because you remember I was telling you, I think it was in The Great Cosmic Mother, that based on pretty much a general consensus among archaeological and anthropological researchers, that the Venus LaSalle is the oldest sculpted structure depicting the goddess, right? And the Venus LaSalle is guesstimated to be 10 to 15,000 years old. Okay? That the first time anywhere on Earth you see structures sculpted depicting a male deity is in between 8,000 and 6,000 BCE. Okay? So, with the emergence, the changing of the idea and the personification of God to male, the simultaneous emergence of a patriarchal society, these planets change genders too. Okay? As the mythology is changing, as like how quote male and female people were changing their relationship to one another societally. And I'm talking now, I ain't gonna get that deep about how patriarchy began, and it began as a change in the means of production and how people labored together socially. But as the way that people were interacting with one another, interacting with the earth, their ideas began to change. And as those ideas began to change, their images of God began to change. As their images of God began to change, their mythologies around those gods began to change. That's not just, quote, mythological, invisible gods. It's also these seven bodies in the heavens, okay, that could be seen at the time with the naked eye. It was important for me to say that because I've told you before that because of my own personal Capricorn placement, I'd struggled a lot with Saturn. I struggled a lot with my little Capricorn placement. And it was maybe almost a year ago now that in ceremony, I was told to see the planet differently. See the planet outside of the mythology that you've been told your whole life about Saturn. Saturn is laborious. Saturn is rigid. Saturn creates boundaries. Saturn, all the laborious and hard and work hard and, hard, rigid structures, all this kind of like terrible language when we think about Saturn, right? And so Spirit was like, look, why don't you just research, has Saturn ever been anything other than a male malefic? Saturn has been called for 6,000 years the Great Malefic, the worst of the planets, the Great Malefic, right? And so that was when I went into this deep dive about, and all I did was Google, has there ever been a culture or a period in human history where Saturn was seen as female as opposed to male? And right away, Saturn used to be called grandmother crone or great grandmother crone. When the Greeks started doing their little thing with patriarchy, they didn't even bother changing the name. She went from grandmother crone to Kronos, he who devours his children. They ain't even hidden literally in plain sight. They ain't even bother changing the name. Couldn't even be creative enough to change the name. From grandmother crone to Kronos, he who devours his children, right? And once you start studying the planet's history as female, and you start to reevaluate the archetypes and the mythologies that you have accepted from a Greco-Roman worldview, it changes everything. You remember I told you a few weeks ago when we did the live about the return of the Golden Age, which I got to talk to y'all about. When I told you about the return of the Golden Age, we talked about, you remember, the Golden Age was said to be a time where the gods walked on earth among humans, right? And that it was Saturn. It was Saturn that ruled the last Golden Age. Specifically, it was the brilliant purple light of the evening sun. Saturn used to be called the evening sun. Saturn used to be called the evening sun, and the last Golden Age was ruled by, quote, the brilliant purple light of the evening sun, right? And that this was an age where that was defined by, according to Plato, where human beings did not have to labor. They did not have to work. They did not have to labor for food. They did not have to toil for where they was going to live. That everything was so abundant and so bountiful that human beings lived to be an extremely old age, died of old age in their sleep without pain. And once they died, they too became gods that walked on earth among human beings. And as they were transitioning out of the Golden Age, it was Those two deities. I can't remember the first one's name, but two deities, two goddesses that ruled the Golden Age. One of the deities left. She was like, I can already see the writing on the wall because it's not a sharp distinction from age to age. As one age is waning, the other age is as one age is waning, the other is beginning. They're crossing, right? And so as the Silver Age was beginning, this was the period where men, or what they call mankind, began to quarrel, began to fight, began to compete. And so one deity left the planet, and the deity Astraea, which eventually, well, let me just say, Astraea remained on Earth with mankind or humankind through the Silver Age, right? And when the Silver Age was concluding, this men or mankind had become so violent and so competitive that she was like, she chucked the deuces too. She was like, all right, y'all doing the most. I've been trying for this whole age to teach you and lead you in the right way. Y'all doing the most. Y'all got it. There's some lessons y'all gonna have to learn the hard way. And so while y'all doing that, I'm up out of here too. When Astraea leaves the planet, leaves human beings to fend for themselves and work this shit out, she goes into heaven and becomes what we know as the constellation Virgo. Okay? This is when supposedly the constellation Virgo began, is when Astraea left the planet during the end of the Silver Age. The end of the Silver Age gave rise to the Iron Age. Okay? So this is both based on Greek mythology, but there is also some overlap in Vedic understanding of the yugas. That's their ages. Okay. So then comes the Iron Age, which is defined by warfare. Okay. So if you're talking about these seven heavenly bodies this story being reproduced all over the planet, this is Ogun. This is Ogun's age, the Iron Age, right? The age of industrialization and civilization and warfare. Okay. So with the with the Iron Age, which according to these philosophies we are still in. Okay. After the Iron Age, after the end of the Iron Age, there will be another golden age. Okay. Another golden age. And according to Plato, when this age ends and the beginning of the new golden age emerges, it is said that Virgo, aka Estrella, will return to Earth to assist in the facilitation of the new golden age, right? The reason I'm saying all of this is because and Saturn will return. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. God damn it. Because I'm telling you about this Sun Saturn conjunction that just began last week and how huge it is. And its direct impact is going to be for this next 18 months, but its long-standing impact will be felt until the year 2054. This is why it becomes important to reestablish a new way of understanding our relationship with these benefics, with these planets. Okay, Saturn has been reduced to the thing of dread in your chart, the thing of dread in a movement in your life in real time, the great malefic, oh my God, the boundaries, whatever. But we talked a long time. I'm not going to go into it deep here, but we talked for a long time about the archetypes associated with Saturn. Capricorn. We talked about the history of Capricorn. We talked about the transition from Greek history to Roman history, where we were talking about the significance of the festival called Saturnalia. Saturn, aka Capricorn, is an agricultural deity. It is the god of agriculture. In Ifa tradition, Saturn, aka Capricorn, is the Orisha Babaluaye, who is the god of agriculture, but also the god of smallpox, plague, and pestilence. Okay, why is this important? Because once you start seeing this shit, once you start recognizing that everything that you have called, quote, a god or a deity is a personification, it is a mythological personification of our actual real time, real world, energetic and physical relationship with these heavenly siblings. We are Earth as a planet, all of us. Not we own Earth, not like we visit in Earth. We are Earth, a singular entity with multiple personifications. We are Earth, and we, as Earth in heaven, we are Earth in heaven, and in this heavenly relationship with the other planets that have the same motion around our source of light, the sun. These stories begin to help you understand the mythological stories, because I told you, if you are a regular everyday person, right, you may not want to study astrology and astronomy, right? But you still need to know how they impact your life. Say, if you're a farmer, if you're an agriculturalist, if you planting the seeds, you need to know the impact that these heavenly bodies are going to have on what it is you're trying to do as someone who is responsible for providing food for the group. These stories are scientific stories, anthropomorphized, so that the regular everyday people can get an idea through song and through dance and through ceremony of this very real relationship that they have to their heavenly siblings, which are the planets of our solar system. Okay, I hope that's not too deep, but we have to take that shit a step further. If I'm telling you that God has only been seen as male for about 6,000 years, I'm talking about science. I'm talking about anthropology and archaeology. The evidence has demonstrated that God has everywhere on Earth, that God has only been seen as male for about 6,000 years, maybe close to 7,000 years. Then it makes sense that every single one of these planets would have been seen as female. I know that is a very long way to answer a question that was asked several comments ago about the significance of Mercury in retrograde. I had to preface that way because Listen, I've already had somebody get mad at me when I was just brainstorming about it. I was like, if Mercury, right, the great communicator, right, before Mercury was Mercury, which is its Roman name, it was Hermes, right, the little dude running around with the wings on his ankles, sending messages, communicating messages between humans and the gods, right? And I told you the story of Hermes. Hermes is where the story of Hermes is where we get the term hermaphrodite to identify one who has been born with both sets of reproductive organs. It is Hermes who disguised himself as female to invade the temple of Aphrodite that was strictly for females to gain access to the mysteries of Aphrodite. Okay? So you already have a story where Hermes dressed in drag, you feel me, to invade his mother, because Hermes is a consort of Aphrodite. Okay? And so he invades his mother's temple to, quote, gain the secrets of love, to gain the secrets of the goddess. All right. And so that's halfway. And then I had this conversation with you guys too about how I was like, damn, is Aquarius female too? Well, what's the story of Aquarius? That's not the person's name. Aquarius, who was said to be the prince of Priam, the prince of the king of Troy. He was the prince of Priam, but his name in the story is Ganymede. The prefix gyna means what? Gyne or gyna means what? What does the prefix in any word gyne or gyna mean? It means female. More specifically, it means uterus. More specifically, it means uterus. Gyne. Right? So here, the dude that is the center of the story about the water bearer, right? His name is Ganymede. And the story even says that he was so beautiful. This is the story, that he was so beautiful that both males and females instantly fell in love with him. The same story is about Shango. Shango, who is Aquarius, in his Ifa manifestation. Shango is Aquarius. You feel me? And it was said the same thing about Shango, that he was so beautiful, right? That he was loved by both men and women. Shango, right? And so these stories are all the same. First of all, they all the same. I don't care what language, I don't care what culture, I don't care the little nuances and how the mythology is told. They're all the same story. They are about our heavenly sistren, our heavenly siblings. Okay? Why is this important? Because Mercury, it was Hermes turned Mercury once the Romans colonized the Greeks. But in African tradition, Hermes, aka Mercury, is Eshu / Alegba. Eshu Alegba, the great communicator. He who opens the crossroads. He who opens every ceremony and ends every ceremony. Alegba Eshu. The reason I say Alegba Eshu is because Alegba Eshu is always pictured with a line down the middle of his face, one side white and one side black. In some instances, one side red and one side black. These are his colors, black and red, representing the duality within every human, representing his direct connection as the intermediary between heaven and earth. This is Eshu. Eshu in Ifa tradition sits at the crossroads of heaven and earth. This is your heart. The crossroads is your heart. Okay? And so I have been contemplating this idea that Eshu, and I even told y'all this, the story of how Eshu was conceived, right? And how, quote, Eshu became male is that Obatala changed the female baby in Oshun's belly to a male to avoid punishment, to avoid retribution. Remember what Oshun said when all the quote male deities disrespected her? So she's like, I'm gonna comply with Olodumare's will, but I still got an attitude. I still got an attitude. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to make myself pregnant. And you better pray that the baby in my belly is not a female. Because if this baby is born female, I want justice. I'm going to make y'all life hell. If my baby is a female, vengeance is mine, saith Oshun. You feel me? And at that moment, recognizing the power of Oshun, Obatala reached his hand into Oshun's belly and changed the female baby in her body to a male. This is the story of how we get Eshu, the great communicator between heaven and earth. Okay? Now, I didn't mean, I just go off. It's not a tangent. It's important. It's purposeful. But the stories are great if you're not taking them literally. If you're not taking them literally, if you are understanding what is being communicated below the beauty of the story. Okay, so I got on that because even with Mercury, especially when Mercury goes retrograde, everybody's like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde is going to fuck up my life, fuck up my electronics, whatever. If we can begin to start really doing a deep and introspective dance with these archetypes that have been ingrained in our consciousness, and just for a moment, ask yourself, what would this story mean if told exactly the same way, but the story was based on a female archetype as opposed to a male archetype? How would it change the story? How would it change my relationship to ceremony, to prayer, to ritual, to these archetypes? How would it change the story? How would it change the relationship that we have with our heavenly siblings? So that's what I want you to do, is to just, that's what I want you to do, is just begin subtly saying, how would my relationship, even with your own personal chart, how would my relationship with my chart change if the rigid, rugged, scary, doom and gloomy aspects of the planets that show up, with the signs that show up in your chart, were transformed if these archetypes were feminine, right? And so even the story, I told you guys that in my relationship with Saturn as a child, which I wasn't aware of my quote triad, my sun, moon, and rising, until maybe 7 years ago. 7 years ago. It wasn't even then, even in my walk with God, my astrological signs, my chart wasn't on my radar. But it always struck me that, and it just seemed random without information, that I was obsessed to this day, since I was a little girl, with goats. Obsessed. Even now, when my ex-fiance said, when I build you our first home, what's the first thing you want? I said, I want 16 goats. It was like, what you want 16 goats for? That's like wildly specific. I was like, I don't know. Since I was a little girl, I always said, when I build my dream house, the first thing I'm doing is getting myself 16 goats, right? Or my Saturn placement at 13 years old, raised a Christian, do not know why my favorite painting of all was Saturn Devours His Children by Francisco Goya. It's a really terribly scary painting, but I loved this painting as a kid. Did not know why I just resonated with this painting so much. It's really gruesome. You know what I'm saying? Francisco Goya was a Catholic. And so his interpretation of, quote, Saturn Devours His Children is an entity that looks like a human-esque body with a lion's head, with little dangling dead bodies, two of whom are headless, one who is in his mouth, right? This is Saturn devours his children. And I never had any cultural reference whatsoever about why I really was drawn to this painting until about 7 years ago when I learned what my triad was and that I have a Capricorn moon. And I was like, oh, the goats, the painting, right? And so everything is hidden in plain sight. When I tell you everything is hidden in plain sight, even if you don't currently have the language to interpret it, that story is in you and around you, and your experience is in you, so that when you do have the language, your childhood can catch up with where you are in your present. Anyway, I could talk about that all night. I didn't mean to go into it that deep, but that's why I mentioned that about the Mercury retrograde. Be paying attention and if Hermes, let me just say this, if Hermes was able to access the secrets of his mother that were reserved for exclusively female priestesses by donning the garbs of females to invade the temple of Aphrodite to, quote, learn all the secrets of love, then use that story, the feminine, how he had to exist in this space with these women, how he had to move, how his voice had to change. Think about Hermes not as just the dude flying around with the little wings, communicating between heaven and earth. Think about that aspect of Hermes, the feminine aspect of Hermes, how he must have had to exist in this space that had historically been exclusively female to be able to access the secrets of love via his mother, Aphrodite. It's a really extraordinary approach because what did I say? Hermes, aka Mercury, aka Eshu / Alegba, where did I say they exist as the great communicators between heaven and earth? They rule the heart chakra. That's the crossroads. Remember the picture I showed you guys on Saturday? The crossroads is the literal horizon. You look out, you see the horizon, whether that's over the ocean, whether that's over the earth. When you see the horizon, the horizon, that single line is a representation of the heart chakra. The line horizontally that goes through the heart chakra and the line vertically that goes through the heart chakra, which is why Jesus always got a cross in his chest, right? Jesus always got a cross in his heart. This is a physical representation of the crossroads, the horizontal line through the heart being the horizon, the literal union, the place where heaven and earth meet. That's the line. That's the horizon, is where God. Oh, I use so many pens. This shit is crazy. The horizon is the literal place where heaven and earth meet. Okay? The line, the vertical line that makes the cross at the crossroads is how we can back and forth at sunrise and sunset move through the earthly chakras which rest below the heart and the heavenly chakras that rest above the heart. You understand what I'm saying? I hope that was clear. So it makes sense that if you're talking about a Mercury retrograde and everybody's talking about, oh, it's going to fuck up my electronics and all this stuff, shift from that language to the female personification of Hermes, aka Mercury, aka Eshu, and imagine just for an instant how this, quote, male deity, at least according to the mythology, would have had to behave, would have had to have conducted himself, would have had to move in his relationships with these other women to gain access to the heart, to gain access to the secrets of love. Okay? How will this change how you see Mercury retrograde? How will this change how you communicate in the world during a Mercury retrograde? I hope that wasn't too deep. Anyway, boy, stop scratching me, tyrant. Okay, so that's that. The person that asked about the Mercury retrograde. Let me go back a little bit because there was something right after that. Mercury retrograde. Da 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 da. That's right. Somebody says, yep, in pre-dynastic Egypt, Sekhmet personified the sun. And it wasn't until the beginning of the dynastic period, which is the period, the patriarchal period, the beginning of the patriarchal period of ancient Egypt, that she was reduced from the personification of the sun to what? The eye of Ra, the eye of the sun god, the daughter of Ra. The mother becomes the daughter to the sun. You feel me? Okay. You are dreaming right now says, yes, steal the style, but don't take the tag off. Okay. Listen. All right. Is this the same time period where all y'all left to it wasn't all y'all that left to go to the moon, it was Oshun that left to go to the moon because she was so offended. This story exists in a lot of places. The same story about the goddess. As a matter of fact, I mentioned it in one of those lives. You remember that movie called the Disney movie called oh my God. Boy, you doing the most. Dang. But you gonna get up in here wiggling, doing the most. Y'all say hey to Storm. Over here doing the most. Hey Storm. Hey boy. Hey boy. Okay. So there is a movie. I think it's called The Rabbit in the Moon, maybe? The Rabbit in the Moon? Something like that. It's on Disney. And it's about a little girl whose mother used to tell her the story that is an old Asian story called About the Rabbit in the Moon. And it is about a goddess who leaves Earth to go live on the moon because she is offended by a male deity, right? Or her heart is broken. The story in the cartoon makes it out like her heart is broken by this lover, right? And so she leaves to go to the moon, right? So this story is replete throughout a lot of cultures. The story about Oshun going to the moon because she was offended by the males is in a bunch of other cultures too, because it's an astrological story. Okay. Now, I'll just tell you, those of you who are tuning in via IG, I should have said this at the top because this is a housekeeping thing on IG. Oh, you being super cute right now. On IG, they only let me live stream for an hour at a time. This is about to go off in a few seconds. So once it goes off, I will reopen another live and we will commence and you'll have an hour. But I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, which is @DaughterOfTheFates, if you want to watch uninterrupted. Okay, peace. Boy, you being extra cute right now. Okay, what you want? What you want? Because you being real pretty right now. You being real cute. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I might have to ignore y'all comments until later. I let them replay live, but I be getting caught up on y'all questions. They be good, but it ends up getting me on diatribes that I don't need to go on. So I'm not up on here for another 4 hours. Okay. All right. So that's happening. Let me get back to the equinox, because to me, that's the big news of the month, though there are still several big other events coming up over the next 2 weeks. Okay. Okay, boy. Okay. So the equinox, which is this week, it is occurring. Where's that other book? Okay. So the equinox for me in LA is occurring at 2 Thursday morning early, 2:02 a.m. 2:02 a.m. quote Wednesday night or Thursday morning. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. 2:02 stop. 2:02 Thursday morning. Okay. I'm not going to tell you stop. Yeah, go about your life. Do that. So this equinox, right, is big. I was watching, what's it called? The Astrology Report. The video link is in the description box below this video. I was watching Astrology Report maybe 2 weeks ago. Dan Waits, I believe his name is Dan Waits, who leads that YouTube channel, was talking about an interview he did on his Patreon with this man whose name is Bibu Dev Misra. Bibu Dev Misra. That's Bibu. Next word, DEV. Next word, MISRA. Bibu Dev Misra, who wrote a book entitled The Yuga Shift. The Yuga Shift. Based on his research, this is obviously an Indian man, based on his research and his study over time, he has concluded in this book, The Yuga Shift, that the official end of the Yuga, the Kali Yuga, will begin. The end will be on this equinox. This Thursday at 2:02 a.m. will represent the official end of the Kali Yuga. Yes, I've already ordered the book. Yes, I've already ordered the book. Waiting for it to arrive. But I'm trying to find interviews of this man, Bibu Dev Misra, to find out what are, according to the book, the key characteristics that he says make it undeniable that the official end of the Kali Yuga will be, cut it out, will be this Thursday, which means you're being real cute. I get it, but you're doing too much. Which means that it will be the official beginning of the Dwapara Yuga. The Dwapara Yuga. So maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow before we go into the equinox. But the Dwapara Yuga, in a short version, is the beginning of the new golden age. The beginning of the new golden age. And what he says, while this is something that we should be excited about and we should look forward to, that the disclaimer is that any transition from yuga to yuga, and we've talked about this in other language, in other mythology, each transition of an age or a yuga will be really typically is marked by fire, right? Then that's his words. And I even talked about this when we transitioned in the Bible, the metaphorical transition in the Bible from the age of Taurus to the age of Aries was that moment where Moses comes down out of Mount Sinai with the 10 commandments, the rules for the new coming age, right? But has to burn out, has to destroy the old age before the new age can fully emerge. He comes out of the Mount Sinai with the guidelines and the rules for the new age. And he said, everybody that's with me, come over here. And all of y'all that want to stay in the past, stay where you at. Then he throws the 10 commandments on the ground. And what does it say? The Bible says the ground opened up and everybody was consumed by fire. You feel me? So this metaphorical purging of the old by fire is replete throughout a lot of cultures, including the Bible, right? He says that fire means that it is going to be a time of tribulation and trial before the new age can fully take root. The old age has to be purged before the new age can fully take root. This is deep, y'all. This is deep. I ordered the book last week, so I'm hoping that the book will come. You're doing too much, boo. I'm sorry. You can't. I'm hoping that the book will come a day or two before the equinox, so that I can at least skim through it before the equinox. Doesn't matter because we in it. We in the age. You feel me? So that's really big, y'all. That's really huge. This dude says, I spent my life studying this topic, and I'm convinced that the official end of the Kali Yuga is on this equinox in 3 days. Feel me? So that's that. I think that's all I'm going to say about the equinox. I am going to reiterate one more thing. Remember, I was saying Saturday, you know, that we have to be willing to do. And I want to make a distinction between like, you know, the rigid and the laborious and we have to be willing to do the things that we know are going to afford us the ability to contend. So if it means that your ass needs to set an alarm clock, you understand, and say, come hell or high water, even if it's only for the hour of the peak of the event, I am going to be up, fully deliberate, doing ceremony, speaking conspiracy that powers up what it is I'm trying to accomplish in the world, preferably with a group of people and not by yourself. Because you remember me saying this whole year, the year of the serpent in Chinese astrology, is about all of that work we've been doing behind closed doors has prepared us. We are ready. That's what the year of the dragon was about, was the inner work, the interpersonal work, the ceremony in your home, the doing the things in your home to give you a sturdy structure, a sturdy foundation for now the serpent to emerge, the year of the serpent, to be more intuitive, to take more risks, to take more action in the security of the structure that you have already built. This means take your ass outside, take and do all ceremony in a minimum of groups of 3, to do ceremony intuitively. Remember, I told you that on the blood moon, I had all these plans about what I was going to do with y'all. I was going to do it live and all of this stuff. And in the moment, Spirit was like, don't do none of that. Take your ass outside, get yourself some blankets so you don't freeze to death, and lay your ass on the grass outside and watch the entire transition. I was out in the grass watching the whole 6-hour transition. It started at 8 and some change, and it didn't end till about 2:30 in the morning, and watch the entire transition. This is an intuitive ceremony that happened. So to be intuitive, right? To be secure in the structure that you have created through all of your spiritual work, all through the years. Okay, I'm convinced my structure is sturdy. My foundation is strong. Now I can take some risks. Now I can move outside my comfort zone because my foundation is sturdy. You feel me? So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Because again, even one of the readings that I did today, it was like this person has been doing spiritual work for a long time, but there was an instant where I heard the language, you know, be about, okay, for 7 days, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. That is your that's your ego mind, right? That's your ego mind leading ceremony, right? So I told her the story I began telling you guys about reevaluating your relationship to the heavenly bodies and start to look at those archetypes through a feminine perspective, right? Does ceremony have to be solemn and, you know, meditative and or can you go to an actual nightclub with a deliberate mindset that there is something here for me that the goddess wants me to know, and the only way I'm going to access it is to turn all the way to fuck up, and that is church. You feel me? That instead of taking a fistful of mushrooms and going and sitting by the fire in silent meditation and journaling, can I get the same gravity and quality of download or intervention from the mother in the midst of chaos, in the midst of a crowd, having taken a fistful of mushrooms before going to the club? Can I have the same experience? We got to think outside the box. That's what Saturn is trying to teach us in revisiting the story of Saturn, revisiting its precursor, the god Dionysus. The god Dionysus, who was just like Jesus. What did it say? That Dionysus sacrificed himself, gave himself up as a sacrifice, and that it was the wild maenads, the wild women of the woods, who quote ate him alive. But what did I tell you Dionysus was? Dionysus was the psychedelic mushroom. Dionysus, the god, savior of mankind, right? Savior of mankind. What did they call him? The psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, in Greek times, in the worship of Dionysus, the mushroom was called the body of Christ. So when you do sacrament as a Catholic and you drink the wine and you eat the little quote wafer that's supposed to be the body of Christ, that is an outright theft of this story about Dionysus, who was the son of the Great Mother, who would sacrifice, and then that was a theft too, but it was the son of the Great Mother who would sacrifice himself to save mankind. Well, the savior of mankind, the body of Christ, was the psilocybin mushroom decocted in red wine, quote, the blood, and then it would be consumed by the women to go into a state of ceremonial madness, right? Remember I told y'all this, the three components necessary for these women exclusively to descend into ceremonial madness was the psychedelic, which was the wine-soaked mushrooms. Was this is where the consort of Dionysus comes into the picture, which is the archetype of Capricorn, the goat man, right? The horny goat man who comes out because the maenads need the three components. What do they need? They need the wine-soaked mushrooms or the mushroom-soaked wine. They need music. They need a hype man. You feel me? So Pan comes out playing the flute. And the bitches turn up. Once they turn up, men would come into the forest to have intercourse with the maenads because the maenads needed orgiastic sex. They needed to have an orgasm. They needed to, so orgy, aka orgasm, they needed to have orgiastic sex. They needed to have the body, they needed to consume the blood and body of Christ. You feel me? And they needed the hype man so they could dance too. They needed the song and dance. They needed the orgiastic sex. And they needed the psychedelic in order for the goddess to inhabit their bodies and heal the entire community through the mad maenads. The bitches driven mad in the turn up. You feel me? And so once we discover the hidden stories, let's see, I'm a house head, so I'm most definitely turning the fuck up. Let's go. Right? Sophia Strand explores this about Dionysus in the Flowering Wand. Okay, I'm gonna have to write that down. Y'all be giving me so many books I need to buy. I buy more books than any one human. I done bought like 20 books this week. Yeah, I'm not even exaggerating. I done bought like 20 books in 1 week because of y'all. Because of y'all. Let's see. The Flowering Wand. I'm not going to keep going into this. There's so much I want to talk about. And it still don't look like I'm going to get to it all. But I'll be doing a live every day through this week just because the shit is big and it's important and y'all got to know. Okay? So think about it that way. Think about these old stories. Try to find the feminine aspect or the feminine telling of these stories and see how that understanding can impact how you live, how you move, how you plot, plan, and strategize, how you intend to take advantage of these monumental movements that are going to be happening all year. I told you all the outer planets are going to be changing signs within the same year. It doesn't happen Like I said, I think it was like 800 and some change AD the last time all the outer planets moved, changed signs in the same year. It's a huge year. I just told you that according to at least one astrologer, the end of the Kali Yuga will be in 3 days. That's giant. You feel me? Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Let's go. Okay, so so that's where I'm going to stop where the astrology is concerned. Maybe after the equinox, I will talk about the other big astrological movements that are happening this month, like in depth, but just bullet points. March 22nd is the Sun-Venus conjunction in Aries. 27th is when Venus retrograde enters Pisces. And then there's on the same day, Venus-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. March 29th, Mercury retrograde enters Pisces. Also the 29th is a magnanimous day because it is the new moon. So it is an Aries, and not only is it a new moon, it's the Aries solar eclipse. Any solar eclipse is a new moon. So the 29th is the Aries solar eclipse. The next day, which is also equally huge, is March 30th, where Neptune enters Aries. So those big events I will be talking about more in depth after we get through this transit this week, which is the equinox. That is the end of the Kali Yuga. Now I will say this also, speaking of that, we're in the Ides of March, which I told you historically under the goddess Sybil was celebrated from March 15th to March 28th. So maybe that be some homework for you, which I'm going to take upon myself to do too, but you do it too. Research the goddess Sybil, what she about, you feel me? And can you incorporate that energy, at least generally, in what it is you got going on for the next week? That's one. Two, on the day of the equinox, what I am going to be doing, can you repeat the 7 people or the 7 planets that have been usurped from the goddess? It's all of them. It's the sun, it's the moon, it's Mercury, Venus, Mars, it's Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Those were considered the 7 heavenly benefics, the planets that could be seen with the naked eye up until we got telescopes. Okay. I think that's what you were talking about. Anyway, so 1, do a nominal, don't go into a wormhole, do a nominal, superficial, minimal research, Google search on the goddess Sybil, Cybele. Look at her archetypes and her stories and see if and how you can incorporate some of her archetypal energy into the next week, the 15th through the 28th. Okay, in whatever it is you're doing, specifically on the equinox, which is on Thursday morning early, we need to be doing a ritual to the goddess Kali. We need to be thanking Kali, bigging her up, thanking her for exposing our energies, thank our enemies, thank her for giving us the courage to move through this next age. Research, if you want me to read to you on another day, the very specific and important archetypal energy of the goddess Kali. Let me just go ahead and do that now. Yeah, let me just do that now since it won't take that long. You guys remember the story I told you about the first time I led a ceremony, and it was this big, it was 2015. 2015, that ceremony that I did where I told you the sister a year later, these tumors that she had been living with in her body, these 4 big tumors she had been living with in her body for 18 years were gone. 1 year exactly to the date. Remember that ceremony that I told you, and I couldn't get anybody from my temple to do it with me, so it ended up being just me and this Haitian sister out in the woods near the water doing this ritual? That ritual was 2000 today. So it's 10 years to the day. This equinox. It was on an equinox. It was an equinox ritual that we did in the woods by ourselves. You feel me? That made this radical change in her body. 10 years to the day on Thursday. That ritual was the first ritual I ever conducted by myself or led by myself. Okay. And so here I am, because the reason I'm saying it is because we raised up Kali in that ceremony, right? Let's see. There's a song called Game of Thrones by the singer Lava that to me incorporates that Kali energy. Can you email me that? Email me that song. My email address is EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. Email me that, because I can't take no more notes while I'm trying to do this. But anyway, I'm gonna read what I took as notes about Kali so that we could take her into the ceremony. Kali, the goddess of the cemetery who thrives on blood, right? And her animal is the goat. Okay. Source of life, she is earth, all creating and all consuming. She who gives victory of good over evil. The chant is Om Kali Ma. She who gives the gift of freedom, especially from fear. Ask for clarity and perceptiveness to remove all obstacles, including mental. She is known as the destroyer of inner demons. The destroyer of inner demons. She governs rebirth, cycles, joy, courage, hope, cleansing, and change. If you want to admonish her in ceremony, then jasmine flowers, dancing, iron, the sword, peacock feathers, honey, bones, red wine, tiki torches, and mango leaves. Her colors are black, blue, and red. She protects against violence against women. Yes, we talked about that. Goddess of the cemetery, like Mama Brigitte. Yes. Kali Oya Brigitte, which we talked about maybe 3 weeks ago or so, about these similarities across the board of those particular deities. Yes. Protects against violence against women, aids in letting go of old patterns. She loves myrrh burned in ceremony. Myrrh, right? And then I wrote a bunch of stuff that we did in that ceremony. I won't go over that, but I did want you to get used to the big aspects of the archetypes, right? Let's see. It's in ceremony. It says, ask Kali to burn away all illusion in her purifying fires to allow you to see truth and reality. Then light the white candle, right? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Kali, this Thursday. All right. Okay. Let's see. Can I shift gears? Yeah, because the rest of that stuff I said I'm gonna discuss with you after this retrograde. After this equinox. Let's see. So this week, another thing that came out as the general astrology for the whole week is to complete something that you have left unfinished. I felt judged because I have a lot of things unfinished, but that's the energy of the week. Don't start something new. Complete something you have left unfinished. Complete something you have left unfinished. That's the energy for the week. Okay. And that was starting on the 15th. Okay. So from last Saturday to the Saturday coming, set your mind on one project that you started and have not completed and complete it this week. Okay. Also, as we are going to be bigging up Kali, I want to encourage you to think about the Kali as the remover of evil and the remover of obstacles. What are the obstacles that currently exist in the world that are impacting the lives of many people? So not just your own obstacles, just like we've been doing since November 19th. even if it's choosing 3 names. Choose 3 names as the personification of obstacles that are impacting the lives of many. And then call on the fires of Kali to purge them. To purge them. You feel me? So you think about who that is. I got my 3 written down already. You feel me? But think about 3 human beings. Because, honey, I say the same thing, Java Watson, but I really want to get into a habit of every month focusing, narrowing our focus, even if those names change every month, that all of us that are within the sound of my voice, these 3 names for this month alone, this is who we going hard on. Every ritual, every ceremony, everything, super concentrate, super focus on these 3 motherfuckers for the month of March. These 3 people for the month of April. And then look for their names in headlines for that month. That's how I really would like to see that happen. So I would tell you, if you're interested in knowing the names that I have chosen for the month and why, email me so that I can communicate that with you. I don't want to do that on here. Okay? Email me at EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com to ask for the 3 names that I have chosen as my names for the month of March, and all of this magnanimous, powerful energy for this month, the energy of the goddess Sybil, the energy of the goddess Kali, right? To say, okay, these are the names that all 62 of us who are current on this live are going to super focus. And however many of you are tuned in through IG, we're going to super focus. All of us are going to be thinking about these 3 names to be purged by the radical fires of Kali at 2:02 or 3:02 if you Mountain Time, or 4:02 if you Central Time, or 5:02 a.m. Thursday morning, and see what we can make happen. Okay, so email me if you're interested in knowing the names that I've chosen. All right. All right, cool. Man, time is it? Man. All right. That's that. Okay, so that's everything from this book. So last week, Saturday, I talked to you about minimally, or at least it was our introduction into this energy. So shift brains, shift gears for a moment. Okay. As a matter of fact, I think I am going to take this moment. So y'all go get some water or whatever. I'm going to go get my wine. You feel me? Before I shift gears into the next thing that I'm going to talk to you about. Okay. Make sure you have pen and paper, because this is going to be the discussion about how to transition from the kidney season, which we are in, which is the winter, into the liver season, which also begins on the equinox. Our transition into the liver season begins this Thursday on the equinox. Let me grab my wine really quick and I'll be right back. Well, you stay doing the most. Oh. Okay. So shifting gears. I'm going to be mixing two things in this discussion because, let's see. All right, cool. So Saturday, I mixed the two discussions, or was interchangeable in the discussion between the chakras, the chakras, the 5 elements, and Western medicine, right? And we were having a big kind of broad discussion because I was telling you about people having hurt themselves trying to do this work without mentors, but I was still talking to you pretty in depth about these things and the overlap and the discussion about chakras, 5 elements, and Western medicine, the function of the corresponding glands and organs of the endocrine system. Remember that? Well, two things that I wanted to raise before we got into the depth of shit was some time ago, because I told y'all, I don't take anything for granted. I will, if I feel a buzz in my body, I will automatically research the etymology of the word that caused the buzz. Automatically. It's like my default habit. So one day I decided to research the etymology of the word chakra. Let me tell you what the word chakra means etymologically. It comes from the word chakravartin, chakravartin, chakravartin. Okay. It literally means the king who turns the wheel of his empire. The king who turns the wheel of his empire in all directions from the center, representing his power and his influence. Y'all still with me? Maybe y'all went on a potty break while I went to go grab my wine. Somebody let me know y'all still here. IG, YouTube, y'all still with me? Okay. Now that blew my mind. Chakra, the etymology of the word chakra comes from chakravartin, which means the king who turns the wheel of his empire in all directions from the center, representing his power and his influence. This comes from the Rig Veda, the hymn number 10.136. Interestingly enough, the Rig Veda, interesting. In the Rig Veda, in that same hymn, it says a female named Kuna Mama, Kunamama, Kunamama, Cunamama. That I'm gonna have to, let's see. I'm gonna have to go into it again. I wrote this a long time ago as a scribble in the club, but her name means she who is bent or coiled. She who is bent or coiled. She was considered in this verse of the Rig Veda a minor goddess who creates riddles. She was also known Kunamamna. She was also known as the personification of the Kundalini Shakti. So the reason that struck me is looking up the etymology of the word chakra. Hinduism is not exempt from this transition from matriarchal from matriarchal societies, simultaneously with matriarchal religions, mythologies, and spiritualities. And this transition from matriarchal societies and goddess worship and goddess imagery and goddess mythology to patriarchal society, ideology, mythology, and deities. Hinduism by far is not exempt, as a matter of fact. So when I research the etymology of the word chakra, and it's about the king who rules his empire by turning the wheel of his empire in all directions from the center, so that this represents the range of his power and influence. Somebody said on here the other day when I was talking about the 5 elements and how the heart is seen as the, quote, emperor. I'm with y'all. Again, even in these philosophies and these medical philosophies and healing philosophies, if at all it centers around the proposed ideologies and philosophies of some male, I'm convinced it's all theft. It's all thievery. It's all if we go back enough, it's all thievery. I'm convinced, right? And so here, what we know as the chakras, right, which are the wheels, right? The wheels, the chakras, are supposed to be metaphors for the emperor that rules from the center in all directions. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in the same hymn of the Rig Veda that explains the etymology of chakras, of the idea of chakras, says that a female deity named Kunamanda, she who is bent, is considered a minor goddess of riddles, who's the personification, she who is bent or coiled, of the Kundalini Shakti, right? Not only that, this blew my mind, okay? So there is a guy, I forget what year, I should have wrote the year. There is a man named Arthur Avalon. Arthur, I think they called him Sir Arthur Avalon, right? And he wrote a book entitled The Serpent Power, about his, the time he had spent in India learning about the chakras and the Kundalini and all the things, right? I don't know how true this is. I haven't read it anywhere else, but supposedly, at least according to Hinduism, that the colors that we associate with the chakras, red for the root, orange for the navel, gold or yellow for the solar plexus, green for the heart, a shade of bluish for the throat chakra, kind of a shade of purplish for the third eye, and the white for the crown chakra, that those color and color associations with the chakras were not based in India, that those color associations did not exist in India, that it wasn't until Arthur Avalon left India and started writing about his experiences in India that he gave the color association to the chakras. I haven't read anything opposing that. I'm not saying that's emphatic, but I'm saying that is interesting, especially when I was talking to y'all about what I was talking about the other night, and about how the state has infiltrated every spiritual space that exists. Every spiritual space that exists, some ideology of somebody associated with the state, the government, or the church, any arm of the state, like it's infiltrated. And I'm not being spooky or anything like that. I'm saying this is why the spirit of discernment is so important, especially in this period, especially when everybody is a Reiki master, especially when everybody just go to a weekend course to do, energy healing, or what. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody want to be a healer. Everybody, especially now that spiritual spaces, conscious circles, conscious spiritual spaces, you have to have a very strong spirit of discernment, because you can be easily caught up and swept up into some bullshit that sounds adjacent to, that sounds familiar to certain spiritual ideas and beliefs that you have. And if a person articulates that just well enough, they can get you swept up into some bullshit. That's the state. That's how it functions. I'm convinced. Every single solitary cult of the last 120 years, every single solitary church of the last 100, what is it? The Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons, the Nation of Islam, you name it. The Nation of Gods and Earths, the Moore Science Temple, you run them down. If they were founded within the last 120, 140 years, you feel me? I am convinced the state has its hands in it. Now, if you want me to do a whole nother live to make these connections between the emergence of cults and the influence of the state, I can do that. Between the emergence of new thought traditions and new age religions, and show you the evidence of the state's hands up in it, I can do that. I can do that. You understand? But I'm trying to tell you, it's important to know the origin of things. Even when I'm doing etymology with you, and I am telling you in real time how you can pinpoint the moment in history where a word's original meaning is literally flipped upside down and its meaning becomes the exact opposite. I've shown y'all that. We say passion. Oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about poetry. I'm so passionate about the arts. I'm so passionate about romance and my new love interest. Come to find out, and it makes sense now since we all up on game about like narcissism and narcissistic abuse, that the origin of the word passion means to suffer. The first time the word was ever used was to describe the crucifixion of Christ. His passion was to suffer. Compassion means to suffer with, aka to carry one's burden as if it was your own, to carry one's suffering as if it was your own. Hence why Jesus say, in order to prove that you love me, you must carry your cross. You must suffer to prove that you love me. You must suffer to prove that you love me. So it's important. That's why that whole book that we got from like y'all in my house, like y'all share my house, we all share the same books. That book we got by Mary Daly as the reading companion for her two books called The Webster's First New Intergalactic Wikidary of the English Language, conjured by Mary Daly in cahoots with Jane Caputi. She had to give us a whole new wikidary to uncover the madness that is how males literally flipped words upside down and inside out to do exactly what y'all be talking about. How words are used to cast spells. How did they do that? You change the meaning and erase from common language their original meaning. This whole book did that. You feel me? And so I just thought it was interesting. That this word chakra, you feel me, is yet again another patriarchal ideation of what began as a description of the movement, the uncoiling of she who is bent or coiled as the Kundalini. Because in all the genders, doesn't matter what your gender is, your Kundalini energy is feminine. Your Kundalini energy is literally the living goddess alive in each one of our bodies, coiled and uncoiled. It is how males are able to tap into divine feminine power, is through this goddess sitting coiled in the base of their spine. The Kundalini is always and has always and will forever be feminine, the goddess in each one of our bodies. Okay, now off that diatribe, but I thought that was interesting as we start this next conversation about the liver, about what we need to do to prepare and transition our little liver from the kidney season. Okay, so the kidneys, I'm not going to talk about a lot, just within the context of us transitioning from the kidneys into the liver season. So the kidneys season, obviously, is the winter. The kidneys represent or sit at the root. Now it's interesting because what we call the kidneys, let me pull out, where's she at? Okay. Now this is just an image of the feminine, but we can still use it because I actually have the kidneys drawn on here. Okay. So the kidneys in Chinese medicine are always pictured with this little spiral that rests between the kidneys. This spiral is called the Ming Men Fire. This is your belly button. The center of this spiral is your belly button. Okay. It's like this literal cord that connects you with your ancestors. All right. This cord, your belly button, your umbilical cord that connects you with your ancestors, and the reason it rests between your kidneys is because your kidneys are partly responsible for the process. In Western medicine, it is your kidneys that build blood or that create or generate blood. It's your kidneys responsible for that because your kidneys govern your bone marrow. So once you take vitamin D into your body and it goes through the stages of conversion, which is with the liver and the kidneys, oddly enough, which is what we're talking about today, the sun, mixing with the subdermal fat, right? The cholesterol that is then transferred to the liver, converted to a different type of K. And once it's converted in the liver, then it goes to the kidneys where it's converted into the final form of K, which then goes to the bone marrow, which is where it's said, at least in Western medicine, that we generate blood. Okay. And we generate blood in the marrow. So if we're generating blood in the marrow, this is where our DNA is primarily housed, is in the blood. So this is what it means in Chinese medicine when it says that the Ming Men is our connection to our ancestors. Our connection to our ancestors is our blood. It's the DNA strands in our blood. Okay. There you go. Boom. The kidneys. The kidneys are the water element. And even the water element, when you look at the water element, the description of the color of the water element is not the water that come out your faucet that's just clear. It is the color is considered blue-black. The water of the kidneys is considered blue-black. It is a representation, again, of our relationship to our beginnings, which is as a single-celled organism in the primordial abyss that is the bottom of the ocean, right? The undiscovered areas of the black, blue ocean. Okay. That's the water represented by the kidneys. Okay. So again, it is still about our ancestry and our connection to our ancestry. Stop. Boy, now you're doing too much. Okay. Now, I won't go into a long diatribe about the kidneys, though I could. The one thing that I will say about the kidneys, pulling up this next chart, is that reminding you that in the 5 elements, okay, the kidneys are the mother to the wood element. The water element mothers or gives birth to the wood element, which is the element of the liver and the gallbladder. The kidney is the mother of the liver gallbladder. Okay. The kidney also the kidney also, this error here, the kidney mothers the liver gallbladder and controls the fire element. The strength of the kidneys will determine if the heat of the heart is beneficial or if it is burning too hot. If you are deficient in the kidneys, if you are weak in the kidneys, if your water element is weak, if your water element is weak, then the fire of the heart will burn too hot. This may cause here. Remember, I was saying, if the water element is weak in any way, injured by emotions like shock and fear, you're actually not drinking enough water in real time, it can be injured by physical issues. It can be injured by emotional issues. It can be injured. It can be congenital, like hereditary weaknesses in the kidney. Any one of those things can show themselves in, because the heart governs the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Okay. The heart governs the conscious and subconscious mind. Any weakness in the water element, the water not being strong enough to anchor the fire, to keep the fire at a steady burn and not blaze out of control, can manifest itself physically as dream disturbed sleep, nightmares, night terrors, or what we just call basic insomnia, where you're waking 1, 2, 3 times a night, where you never get deep into enough sleep, where you're in, quote, REM state sleep, so that your flesh can repair. It can also, so that's the physical manifestations. It can cause heart palpitations. And if it goes on long enough, it can cause what we call in Chinese medicine Shin disturbances. What that means in Western language is psychological disorders, manic depression, schizophrenia, psychopathy, sociopathy, bipolar disorder. And if the kidneys is weak enough, if the kidneys are a certain level of injured, weak, traumatized, then injured water element can also cause what we call suicidal ideations. But what that means, because the kidneys govern your will is about your enthusiasm for life, not just, quote, you existing and you live. It is about the enthusiasm. The will is about the enthusiasm for life. Those things that you look forward to doing to support your life, to support your dreams, to support your visions. That if you haven't injured enough kidneys, you will have, you lose your will to live. So it doesn't even have to be, depending upon how long-standing the deficiency is, it can be lose your will to live, like a person who becomes a hermit, a person who is agoraphobic, a person who does not like to be around people at all, right? That is a losing of your lust for life. If that goes on long enough, it can, in its relationship with the heart as the controller of the heart, it can end up leading to suicidal ideation. If a person, especially if this has not been a long-standing tendency, starts talking about, I don't know, just sometimes I see myself like jumping off of something, or sometimes I'm driving and I'm just like, what would happen if I just let go of the wheel of the car, right? And you're like, damn, are you all right? Right? Or it could be something deeper, like sometimes I just want to take a bunch of pills and go to sleep. And this is not something that you've ever heard them say. Then you want to start looking at, I ask, are you drinking enough water? Do you have kidney disease? Do you have a family history of kidney disease? Are you recently diagnosed diabetic? Because diabetics suffer typically from kidney disease. This kidney disease, kidney stones, any kind of even sudden issue that shows up, shock and fear. Did they just witness someone get killed? Sudden instances of shock and fear can cause trauma to the kidneys that over time can lead to suicidal ideations. So, yeah. Oh, and then, so that's the only reason we're talking about the kidneys. The kidneys are huge. I could go on and on and on about it, but we're talking about the liver. Okay. So the kidneys, coming out of the kidney season, right, is the mother to the wood element. The wood element is the liver gallbladder. Remember Saturday, I did this whole long, kind of very cool, if you have me tell it, drawing of We the Tree. Y'all remember that? Remember me talking about We the Tree? You feel me? Let me see if I can find it. Chad, where did I draw that at? We the Tree. If you have me tell it, I'm a goddamn genius. Okay? So I draw this. Where did I draw that? Drew it on something big. We the tree. Where did, maybe I put it in that book I put away. Hold on. But remember I told you I was working on this idea called We the Tree. And I would be using all of these philosophies to help us understand why, one, we've had it all wrong, probably because of the deliberate patriarchal flipping upside down and turning inside out these very old ideas, right? And so in modern times, we have always seen the family tree written or drawn as the branches of the tree. The branches of the tree are how we understand our relationship to our ancestry. You know what I'm saying? Sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so begot children so-and-so and so-and-so. You feel me? This sucks. What did I do with this dynamic and radical drawing that I put down on y'all the other night? That's in here somewhere. I got to really start organizing my note-taking process because, child, is this it? I think it is. It is. Okay. So let me turn this light off because the glare be messing with it. Y'all gonna have to see me kind of in the dark for a moment. Okay. So when I was talking about We the Tree, just walk with me for a minute. I gave y'all a lot in this discussion about We the Tree. Okay. So here it is. And remember where the chakras were concerned, I just said that the heart is a representation of the meeting point of the earthly chakras and the heavenly chakras. Okay. That the heart represents the horizon, right? And the vertical line is a representation of our back and forward movement through the chakras. Okay. And that the heart is also a representation in its relationship to the bimau of the uterus. Okay. So that moment where your head sees light for the first time, that moment where your head represented by the fish. My live is about to end on IG. That's an hour already, which is crazy. But that moment, that fish, the Jesus fish with the cross in it, is actually your mother's vagina spread open at the moment that your head pokes its head out of your vagina to see light for the first time. Let me X out of this live really quick and bring up another one. So those of you who are on IG, whatever. That's annoying. I like broadcasting from IG just because, people will come on. A lot of people will come on my IG, but it's annoying now that I can only do 1 hour intervals. So it disrupts my flow. Anyway. Okay. All right. So, the two-sided gate, which is the heart, the representation of our ability to move up and down through the chakras. Okay. The fish is a representation of spirit being brought into form, meaning heavenly, meaning spirit being made human in the flesh on earth, coming from heaven to earth. That happens through the fish, the coming out of the portal, right? Once you become flesh, representing your earthly chakras, once you become flesh, your ability to move back up into the heavenly chakras, the stimulation, the ideas, the imagination, the inspiration, all of those things that come from tapping into the upper chakras happens through the stimulation of the Kundalini, which is your movement from the earthly chakra to heaven. So you come from heaven to earth in the flesh through this aspect of the gateway, your mama's vagina, right? And while you are flesh, this body that she has gifted you, you can still experience heaven through the stimulation in the other direction of your serpentine goddess energy, which is the kundalini rising up the spine. Okay, boom. In We the Tree, if the family tree was written correctly, then the contributors to the you that you are in the present would represent the roots. Your grandma, your grandpa, paternal, your grandma, your grandpa, maternal, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, and so on, this and this and this and it, that have already transitioned, that have already died. You feel me? This heart is you. That moment that you have busted into the physical world from the heavenly world. Okay? The heart is you in the present right now. The roots represents your connection to your past, which makes sense because why? Your kidneys are your root chakra connecting you to your past. Okay? You see, I'm switching back and forth between philosophies, okay? So your roots, aka your kidneys, aka your gonads, aka your ovaries and your testes, you feel me, is here in the unseen realm of the earth. You, as a personification and coming together of maternal side and paternal side, is the heart. You have busted through as a little baby seedling from the unseen realm, which is your mama's uterus, into the seen realm. Okay? Now you a person. So this is you, your heart, and also the trunk is you, right? It's your present life. The plumage, the top of the tree, right, is considered your future and all of its possibilities. So you think about a tree that's really healthy, and it's got like millions and millions and millions of leaves in it. You can never even count all the leaves of the tree, right? All them leaves represent all the possibilities of your future. These leaves representing all the possibilities, not only of your future, who else? All your ancestors. Each personification of the coming together of your ancestors is a future for them too. It's a future for them too, through you. It's a future for them too, through you. And then this becomes the wild and boundless and limitless possibilities of your future. Okay? Within these limitless possibilities are all the future children you may have, or all the ways, all the things, everything, every possibility. Okay? Now, when talking about the liver, it makes sense, this little metaphor that I would use, because in the 5 elements, hold on. In the 5 elements, again, the wood element is the tree. The wood element is the tree, supported by its mother, which is the kidneys, aka the root, aka the gonads, aka your DNA, aka your connection to your ancestors. Your connection to your ancestors in 5 elements is the water element that nourishes and grows strong wood. Okay, this is considered the mother. This is considered the son. Okay, this becomes important because in the tree and all these little possibilities, the language of the liver, which we are transitioning into in 3 days in the spring element, the liver in its physical personification, right, opens to the eyes. That's why if a person has jaundice, you can tell right away. You don't even have to have a medical background. If their eyes are really yellow, you like, oh, you got jaundice. You don't even have to. If they have hepatitis, you can see it in their eyes. If they have jaundice, you can see it in their eyes. If they went out and drank too much alcohol the night before, their eyes will be bloodshot, bright red, bloodshot, right? The liver communicates or, quote, opens to the eyes. But that's not the only eye. The liver also provides clear vision to the third eye, to the internal eye. Okay, let me turn this other light back on. The liver creates the vision, right, to the internal eye. The liver's ability to give a clear vision to the internal eye is based on what? The spirit of the water element, which is what? The will. The will. The will of the water element, the lust for life, the will to accomplish and to do and to see and to create. The water of the of your ancestral lineage will strengthen, nourish, support the will, right? The lust for life will support this little baby that the mother has given birth to. And so a strong kidney element will give you boundless inspiration, your liver. And your liver being called the general of the emperor. The emperor is the heart. The liver's function as the general, or the wood element's function as the general of the emperor's court, is, what does a general do? A general surveys the entire terrain. Okay, we at war. These are all metaphors created by patriarchy, but whatever. The general says we're at war. We need a strategic plan, when to advance, when to retreat. I have a clear vision as the leader, as the general, of what to do and when to do it and how to execute, how to move people forward, how to take some back. He executes. He not only has a clear vision of the strategy, but his partner, the gallbladder, gives you the courage to execute the mission, gives you the discernment of when to act, when to move, how, what ways, even in spontaneity, how to adjust the original strategy. That's the gallbladder. It's the courage and discernment of the gallbladder that supports the clear vision of victory, because the general is only interested in victory. All futures lead to us being victorious. All victory, all futures and all possibilities and all strategies lead to us being victorious in whatever that vision is. I want to be a rock star. I want to be Superman. I want to be an astronaut. Those childlike visions that you have for your future and your life, that enthusiasm in babyhood, in childhood, up until about the age of 13 or 14. You feel me? Those childlike, enthusiastic, healthy spirit of the kidneys. The healthy spirit of the kidneys is like, yes, bitch, let's go. They get up in the morning, hype about the day. How am I going to use my day to execute my vision? What I'm going to do in the day to make this shit pop? I got to do this, and this, but it's not the will, quote, power that we learn, which is rigid and laborious and no, this is like, bitch, I'm going to dance my future into existence. Like, it's that kind of like lust for life, right? Now, the liver, let's see what else I wanted to talk to y'all about the liver. Okay, so where did I write that? Where did I write that? Oh, here. Okay, so the liver, short version. Okay. Yes, right? So the liver acts courageously and intelligently and carefully assessing all the circumstances. Carefully assessing all the circumstances and planning action. Let's see. The sun, blah, 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 blah. Oh, the liver in this relationship, I should mention too. So the liver is the son of the water element, right? But the wood element is the mother to the heart element. So in this relationship between heart and liver, the liver is the mother to the heart, or the wood is the mother to the fire. So a healthy liver, yes, may be influenced by the health or lack of health of the kidneys. And that liver will also, you know what? Let me say one more thing. So the water element is the mother to the wood element. The wood element is the mother to the fire element. But it is also the metal element that controls the wood. Metal controls wood. Okay? So you see, and wood in this scenario controls earth. There's a very intimate relationship. Once you know all of the characteristics, all of the things that you need to know about each element, you can translate what that means. If the metal element controls the wood element, if lungs controls liver, and you have a history of respiratory issues, whether that's something as simple as seasonal allergies, every time the season changes, you're going to get sick and it's going to show up in your upper respiratory system, or whether it's something more deep and long standing, like unresolved and unexpressed grief, or if it is you had childhood asthma since you were 6 months old and you were prone to serious respiratory issues, then you can start to see the influence that distressed lung or metal element may have in the long term on the liver, based on the fact that the metal controls the wood. Okay. And so you can start to see in metaphor how your actual symptoms are showing up in the metaphors of the elements. Right? I hope that was clear. Anyway, okay. So, and isn't it interesting that in this relationship between the liver, the kidneys, the liver, and the earth, oh, you know what, and fire. Kidneys, liver, fire, heart, and spleen, or water, wood, fire, and earth, that in China, in 5 elements, the peak time of the liver and the gallbladder first, is the gallbladder's peak time is 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. The liver's peak time is 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Depending upon what philosophy you are approaching, those 2 times, some people say 11 to 1, some people say 1 to 3, those 2 times are considered the witching hours. The witching hours, right? I thought that was interesting. But anyway, that's the liver gallbladder time. Gallbladder is 11 to 1, liver is 1 to 3. Okay? So a couple of things. One, what is the primary time of the evening that we go partying, drinking, turning up, whatever? It's them times. 11 to 3, 11 till the club close, right? That's the time we go turn up. What's the turn up? Typically, it's accompanied by alcohol, right? And typically that alcohol is accompanied with ice cubes, ice cold drinks. You feel me? And so in a night of turning up, during what is supposed to be the peak time of the liver and the gallbladder being able to heal and self-repair and recover from a day's work, we turn it up drinking ice cold drinks in the liver time. The alcohol injures the liver, the ice damages the spleen. And so that's why you end up throwing up if you drink too much alcohol, because you're typically drinking in the liver time when the liver is supposed to be resting, relaxing, and recuperating. You're drinking alcohol in the liver time. You're drinking ice cold alcohol, which is further damaging the spleen's function. And this damage between the liver and the spleen is what causes, quote, rebellious chi going in the wrong direction, nausea and vomiting. You'll see a person that gets really drunk and they start burping a lot, excessive belching. These are all examples of chi that's in rebellion, rebellious liver chi, right? And acting on the spleen and stomach, hence the vomiting, hence the nausea. Fabulous, right? I know. Okay, so as I drink in the gallbladder time. And also, that's why if you throw up enough, you'll throw up bile because you've been drinking in the gallbladder time. So that's one thing. Another thing is people who suffer from insomnia. So say a person suffers from chronic insomnia, okay? And they can tell you in an intake that every night I'm going to wake up 3 times and I go to sleep at 9 o'clock. The first time I wake up is at 1. The second time I wake up is at 2. The third time I wake up, and it's the last time I wake up, is at 5. Okay? Then you can tell which organ is having some kind of issue by the times that a person wakes up in the night. So liver, gallbladder. So if they wake up at 1 and then they wake up again at 3, that's all liver. That's all liver. Okay. If they wake up at 5, that's lung. That's lung. Right. And so you ask them further questions. If they're waking up at 5 o'clock every night, right, then you can start to investigate. Do they have asthma? Were they recently sick with a respiratory disorder? Did they have pneumonia or whatever the fuck, right? If the answer to those questions are no, then you start asking about grief. Has somebody recently died in your family? Have you recently lost a job or made a move that you didn't want to make but had to? Start asking questions that would help you to understand if there is some unresolved grief that is harassing them in their fire sign, right? Because that could be what, let me see. So if they're having some unresolved grief and they're waking up every night at 5 o'clock and you've ruled out any environmental or physical factors, then it could be a sign of unresolved grief causing a rebellion against the downward motion of the chi. It is supposed to be the fire that controls the metal. But in this scenario where unresolved grief is harassing them in their sleep, then this arrow would be going in the wrong direction. This is rebellious chi. This is the grief of the metal harassing the heart, raising the fire so the shin cannot, so the heart cannot house the shin to provide a restful sleep. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the basics of the liver. Okay. One of the primary functions of the liver in Chinese medicine is one of the energetic functions is to, quote, empower the virtue of every other organ. It's the general in the emperor's court. So it is the energy of the liver that is going to direct, right? That is going to empower, that is going to make the speech that even as they dog ass tired is going to make everybody get a second boost of energy and carry out the task. That's the general in his relationship with the other organs. So cut it out. So it empowers every virtue of all the other organs, the liver, right? The liver's physical function is to store the blood and to move the blood. What this means is, in Western language, is that the liver being our biggest internal detox organ, the liver filters through 2 detox pathways. Phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways is constantly moving all the blood in the body through phase 1 and phase 2 and is constantly scouring all of our blood for bad guys, for toxic bad guys, poisons, hydrogenated oils, high fructose corn syrup, all of those things that the body does not recognize as self. The blood is filtering through phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. This is Western speak, okay? Phase 1, phase 2, And these enzymes in the liver will bind to, they look like little Pac-Men. And once they find something that it does not recognize as self, it'll do one of two things. These enzymes will cover the toxic material so it does not do any cellular damage on its way out, either as feces or surround it to make it, inert so it doesn't damage the cellular tissue as it takes the unknown toxin and stores it in our fat adipose. Those are the one of the two ways that the liver deals with toxic materials, is to store it in our fat adipose or to send it on through the pathway where it eventually ends up leaving the body as feces. This is important, and it's also the explanation for why those first 3 to 5 days when you start a new diet or you really hard and you're burning a lot of fat right away, you feel like shit. Because in alternative medicine, they say poisons sting 2 times, on the way in and on the way out. When you burn the fat adipose, those poisons stored in the fat adipose are kicked back into circulation looking for a method of escape. You see? Let's see. What y'all talking about? Because y'all got a lot to say over here. Queen Bee says, so my latest proclivity to daytime drinking was a positive transition. I say here. Clink, bitch. You feel me? Clink, clink. Cheers. Yes. Right? I know you was being funny, but yes. Right? Makes so much sense. Cool. You know what, Queen Bee? What you talking about when you said, let me find out Sin City got it all right? What did I miss about Sin City? You talking about actual Sin City like Las Vegas, or you talking about the movie Sin City? I'm curious. This is an Asian city for the most part. I wouldn't doubt the habits are made it be less injurious. So that general energy is potent in me. Oh, okay, drinking water is very vital. Taking enzymes, yeah, you can blah, blah. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's that. So the liver empowers every virtue of every organ. 1. The liver in balance produces a sense of benevolence. The liver out of balance produces belligerence. The liver in balance produces a disposition that is benevolent, and balance produces belligerence. Another function, a very, very, very important function of the liver for those of us who are born female, is that it governs menstruation. The liver governs menstruation, governs menstrual blood. Okay, so while our kidneys are responsible for our reproductive organs, the act of cyclical bleeding is governed by the liver. Okay, so in males in traditional Chinese medicine and in Ayurveda, the essence or the life force in males is housed in their semen. That's why you have all of the, now this is a medical recognition of the Jing that exists in semen. So based on that, you have all of these additional philosophies that we're teaching people to like recycle their semen or retain their semen, or the Bible says it is a shame before God for a man to spill his seed on the ground, or all of these stories and philosophies about males and their relationship to semen, because semen is seen as where their essence or their Jing is stored. In women, it is not our ejaculate. It is not our ejaculate. Let me just say this. In men, their essence is housed in their semen, In women, our essence or our life force is stored in our menstrual blood. What does that mean? It means the same thing we've been talking about for months and months and months and months and months. Our essence, our life force is our stem cells in our menstrual blood. That's where the power of it, that's what lies in the power of our menstrual blood, are these extraordinarily healing and regenerative stem cells that are housed in our menstrual blood. Some Queen Bee asked, so heavy bleeding denotes liver damage. Not necessarily liver damage, because when you say damage, you're thinking about the physical organ. Our menstrual blood will teach us about how the energy of our liver is behaving. If the blood is dark like wine, if it's deep red like red wine, and if it has clots present, then it is liver qi stagnation. Something is causing a stagnation of the free flow of blood through the detox pathways, right? If the menstrual blood is bright red like a fire engine, something is causing an acceleration of heat or fire in the liver, right? So everything that you need to know about your life as a woman can be learned by understanding what is happening with your menstruation. If you have a menstrual cycle that is too short, 3 days or less, even if that's your quote norm, 3 days or less is considered an abnormality that needs reharmonizing. If you have a bleed that is light and it's only 3 days, it's too short, then you are deficient in liver blood. You have a liver blood deficiency that can be confirmed by the state of your head hair. That can be confirmed by your nail beds. Are your nail beds dry? Do your nails break off because they are so bitter? They are so brittle. You do not have enough. Do you easily have joint or like tendon or ligamentous issues, right? Do you have arthritic issues with your joints? Do you have degenerative issues with your joints? The liver blood lubricates and strengthens ligaments and tendons, all connective tissue. So if you're having an issue with your ligaments and tendons, then this is a confirmatory thing, right? That you may be deficient in liver blood, that you don't have enough blood stored in the liver to produce in your menstruation. So you have very short cycles, you have very light cycles, right? Not a lot of blood. Okay. So on and so on and so on and so on. That's a whole, like, Chinese gynecology was like 3 whole goddamn semesters. It's very, very deep, and it's like, I had professors, I haven't mastered the art of doing that, but I have had professors that know Chinese gynecology so deep and so well that, so on your wrist, you have 6 pulses, right? That they can check your liver pulse and tell how many abortions or miscarriages you've had. I'm like, that shit radical. I still haven't learned how to do that. But I've seen it where Dr. Zhu, who was a man, could take a woman's liver pulse and tell not only if she was pregnant, but how far along she was by checking her liver pulse. That shit's deep. That shit's deep. Okay? Anyway, so you can also determine what... Y'all tripping in the comment section. So you can also determine the health, whatever disharmonies are existing, by looking at the quality of your bleed. If you bleed too long, if you bleed, quote, ideally, so a healthy period, a healthy menstruation is 3 to 5 days. Now, again, this is not a precise science because the environment, the world has changed from the period of what it was from, according to Zhensu Huan, who wrote the Huandine Qing, right? Which is where you at least get the beginnings of Chinese gynecology. This motherfucking 4,000 years ago, right? The world, the environment, everything has changed. Our level of stress, our quality of stress has changed. So it is just a base level, but a base level understanding of a healthy menstruation is 3 to 5 days, regularly occurring, meaning every 28 to 32 days. Regular blood red, meaning if you were to cut yourself, that color blood red, right? With no clots, no cramps, no what we call hypochondriac pain, which is like your hypochondriac region is your upper portion of your ribs. Your lower portion of your ribs, right under your breast. This is called the hypochondriac region. So a lot of women will call it bloating, where they feel tight, like they have a corset around their ribs during their cycle, that distension right across their ribs or in their back, right across the same area. That's called hypochondriac pain. If they experience hypochondriac pain, if they experience breast tenderness or nipple tenderness, or low back pain or cramps in their leg, particularly on the inside of their legs, none of that is normal. That's not your norm. You bleed 7, 8, 9, 10 days. That's just my norm. I bled like that since I was 3 years old. No, that's not normal. That's how you've been bleeding in the midst of a disharmony that has been left undiagnosed because we don't have that language in the West, right? So a healthy cycle is 3 to 5 days, normal color blood with no clots, no pain, no bloating, and no cravings. That's a healthy period. Anything outside of that is not normal. It is trying to alert you, any symptom is trying to alert you that there is something, whether minorly or majorly wrong within some area of your body, in particular, the communication between those 5 organ systems of the 5 elements. And the quality of your bleed will tell you undeniably where the disharmony is. Is the disharmony in your spleen? Is the disharmony in your kidneys? Is the disharmony in your lungs? Is the disharmony in your heart? Right? So, it's beautiful, this shit. I'm trying to put y'all on game. I'm trying to help you see in a world that has prospered off your blindness, child. I'm trying to help you see. Okay? So anyway, the liver, if you have me tell it, its most important role is its role in governing menstruation. It maintains the potency of all the chi in our body. It is responsible for the storage of blood. It maintains the healthy flow of chi everywhere in the body. It houses what is known as the Hun, or the ethereal soul. The ethereal soul is the aspect of the human spirit that we most closely associate with that quote soul that leaves the body at the moment that we die. Okay. Also, liver governs both birth and rebirth. Liver governs both birth and rebirth. Okay. All right. So these are just then I got some little esoteric things I want to tell you, but the first thing is, so I know it's late. I know it's late in the week. I know that the what you call it, the equinox is just a few days away. If I was attempting to be, which I probably will, ambitious about my intentions for the equinox, then ideally I would invite 10 or 15 people, maybe more, to do a local ceremony where I would administer a treatment that is specifically for our transition from the kidney season to the liver season. So what that means is that these acupuncture points would be used on these liver points at the precise moment of the peak of the equinox. So if I were to do that, I would love to do that. I do not know if I can corral people into something like that this late in the game, because the equinox again peaks at 2:02 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But if I were ambitious enough to do that, I'm going to plot and scheme. Don't know if anybody will heed the call, but I'm going to plot and scheme. If I were to do that, 2 primary points that I would be needling, liver points, would be liver 1. And of liver 1, it is said that you use liver 1 to bring vision to the root. This is the relationship again between the son and the mother. You use liver 1 to bring vision to the mother. You use liver 1 to bring vision to the mother, right? So you use liver 1, needle liver 1 at the peak of the equinox to bring vision to the root. This enhances self-esteem. You needle this point if these are the symptoms that people would display to say, okay, I need to use this point. You needle liver 1 if the person, what did I talk about earlier? If a person needs discernment on what is fundamental in empowering oneself. This is confirmed by a person who perpetually says, I can't or I won't. I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I won't do that. No, I won't do that. Right? A person who is uncertain, a person who does not possess the spirit of discernment, a person who has a low self-esteem. This is how you know that this person needs liver 1 to be needled at the peak of the liver transitory time. Okay. Another, let's see. I'm gonna pick that back up in a second. Another one that I love, right? Okay, so liver 1 can be partnered with pericardium 9 or heart 9 to bring the power of self-esteem, to bring the power of self-esteem to the liver and to the heart. It is also called this point combination, liver 1, PC9, and heart 9, are called the letting go points. To let go of whatever past that has prevented you from seeing your self-worth. Whatever occurrences in the past that has limited your ability to see your self-worth. That point combination. Okay. This one's very cool too. This point is liver 5, also called the insect ditch. The insect ditch. So what it means is you think about a tree, right? And on the outside, the tree looks strong. The tree look all right. You feel me? But then you chop down the tree, and on the inside, the tree is completely hollow from termites. The tree was being devoured from the inside by termites, right? So the tree looks strong. It's got leaves and everything. You cut the tree down, it's completely hollow from insect damage. This point is called the insect ditch, okay? Liver 5, again, needled during the equinox. I mean, you can use it anytime, but talking about the peak time, both time-wise, because the equinox is between what? 1 and 3, which is the liver peak time. So the liver peak actual time, clock time, and the liver spring or calendar time being spring, the first day of spring. Liver 5, I love this one. I love this one. Works well for a body that is habitually reactive to things that are not toxic, but think they are. This person gets hung up on the annoying details of life. So what it means when it says a person who is habitually reactive to things that are things they perceive are toxic, but are not. Okay. So this is the person that obsesses over things that the rest of us would see as trivial. He goes on to say They get hung up on the annoying details of life. This point clears out insects from the inner core to build the strength of the wood. What this metaphor means in example is, I love this. This is my professor that gave us this example. He said, this is the type of person who gets invited to an orgy, but is not having a good time because they hate the cheese dip. Okay. You had an orgy, everybody turned up, and you got an attitude because you hate the cheese dip, getting hung up on the small, insignificant details of life, right? So, liver 5 clears the insects from the ditch to build the strength of the wood. I knew y'all would like that metaphor. Liver 8. Liver 8 is called the crooked spring. This point helps the liver person embody the virtue of bamboo, inspires flexibility and growth, helps with the issues of premature umbilical cord severing. I got goosebumps everywhere. I love this fucking medicine. This point helps to resolve people who have issues because of premature umbilical cord severing. Let's see. Liver 13 is called the chapter gate. This point is used. I think so too, Queen Bee. I think so too. She said, I think that's most of us. I absolutely think so too. Liver 13, known as the chapter gate, is used for those constrained in process to the point that they cannot move on or move forward. They're stuck. So when I interview a person and I ask them to describe on a regular day, to use one word to describe how they feel emotionally, if somebody says stuck, if somebody says frustrated, if somebody says anything like that, first of all, I already know it's an issue of the liver. Those are expressions of the liver. And again, you're thinking about the fact the primary function of the liver is to keep the free flow of all the blood in the body through the detox pathways. So when a person gets stuck, it means the liver blood is stuck. It means the liver blood is stagnating. For some reason, something is happening in the free flow of blood that has caused the liver to slow down or to stagnate. Okay. So this person, for those who are constrained in process to the point that they cannot move on. So if a person says, I'm having a hard time making decisions, I'm having a hard time deciding on which path I need to take next. If a person says, I cannot clearly see my way forward. These are all expressions of liver chi stagnation. Something is happening to stagnate the chi of the liver, right? This point is so dope. When you get paralyzed by life, right? It says this point is the quintessential point used to free one from existential writer's block. Oh my God. I love it, right? So your inspiration comes from your kidneys. Your inspiration, the inspiration that the wood needs to give it a clear vision, the discernment to make a decision, and the courage to take action in that strategy or decision, it comes from the inspiration of the kidneys, its mother. So if a person is experiencing, quote, existential writer's block, something is preventing this relationship between mother and son, where the son is inspired by the mother and then is able to chart a course based on the nourishment from the mother. This point, the liver gate or liver 13, is to free one from existential writer's block, aka one who is constrained in process to the point that they cannot move forward. Wonderful. Liver 14 is called the gate of hope. Liver 14 is called the gate of hope. This point, this is often done with liver 1, which I mentioned earlier. The liver 1 as the liver 1, I didn't tell you this. Liver 1 is called the great esteem. The great esteem, liver 1, that's its name. So liver 1 and liver 14, the gate of hope, needled together, are often done with liver 1 to restore one's vision of the future. To restore one's vision of the future. Liver 1, the great esteem, and liver 14, the gate of hope. The height of the branches. So let me pull out my other picture. Hold on. So this is what is talking about liver 14, the gate of hope. Okay. So liver 1 and liver 14 needled together is to restore vision of one's future. What did I say the future was? All the possibilities represented by the plume of the tree. All the leaves, all the branches. This all represents the possibilities of the future. Okay. And so liver 14 and liver 1 are used together to restore the vision of the future. Okay. The height of the branches expanding to heaven. Heaven, you can add, is considered the point long 1. Long 1. So the longs are called the lungs are called the canopy. The lungs are called the canopy of the body. When you Google, there's an image floating around that shows you an x-ray of the lungs and all the bronchioles, right? The alveoli, the bronchioles, right? And then they put it right next to a tree as if you were standing on the ground looking up at the tree, and they look exactly the same. The lungs and all of its plumage and branches look exactly the same as the tree and all of its plumage and branches, which makes sense because the plumage of the tree and the lungs have a very specific and intimate relationship. They exchange what they need with one another. Our lungs gives off as toxic material to us, carbon dioxide, which the trees need to thrive. And in exchange, it gives us oxygen, which it cannot use and we need to thrive. So it's very cool and radical and beautiful and interesting when you look at the canopy of the forest and you look at the canopy called our lungs. They look exactly the same. I love that. So anyway, in this treatment of liver 14 and liver 1, you can add lung 1 to expand the vision to heaven, to expand the vision to heaven. Okay. Liver 14 is considered an aspiring point, to aspire, right? An aspiring point, and lung 1 is considered an inspiring hope. These 2 points needled together are called hope and faith. Hope and faith. If the gate is closed, this is considered the gate of hope. Remember, if the gate of hope is closed, you will not want to make any plans for your future. If the gate of hope is closed, you will not, quote, be inspired to make any plans for the future. Fabulous. Fabulous. Let's see. When I learned about TCM in Sherry's school, I was blown away. I don't know who Sherry is. That was me 2 years ago, holding on to what didn't serve me anymore. I felt like I couldn't focus on anything in particular. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Shiatsu. Okay. I was like, who is Sherry? Do I know her? Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so that is it for the liver points. That if somebody was feeling so inclined and so ready, could meet me at the top of Mount Washington on this coming equinox and get these highly beautiful and inspiring points to see what they can set off in this next phase as we transition from the equinox to the coming solstice up in June. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Okay. Yes. I love that. I love the little points. Okay. Let's see what else. So, so a gallbladder point, which is the liver's partner, right? Yang partner. There is a gallbladder point, gallbladder 18, which is also called the receiving spirit. The receiving spirit. This point allows one to receive ancestral spirit to reconnect with one's sense of destiny and purpose. You heard? Gallbladder 18, also known as the receiving spirit point, allows one to receive ancestral spirit to reconnect with one's sense of destiny and purpose. Beautiful. Right? So this is actually from a protocol that actually takes, I think I say ideally you would do this protocol over 12 days, but it's called, the name of the protocol is called the 12 Spirit Points to Activate Spiritual Awakening. The 12 Spirit Points to Activate Spiritual Awakening. Kidney 24, which is also known, these are the points names. Kidney 24 is known as the wild land of spirit. This point is to revive the spirit, reconnecting you to a profound source of spirit, also called the spiritual burial ground, resolves karma. This point resolves karma, helping you to let go of anything obstructing your spiritual awakening. If you use this point in conjunction with due 20, due 20, which is called or named the Grand Unity, and Sanjiao 7, which is called the, listen, oh, I got goosebumps everywhere. Due 20 is called the Grand Unity. Due 20 is right at the top of the crown. Okay, it's the closest point to heaven in our body. Due 20, which is called the Grand Unity, and Sanjiao 7, which is called the Assembling Ancestors. That's the name of the point, y'all. Sanjiao 7 is called the Assembling Ancestors, and Stomach 36. So those points used together, Kidney 24, Due 20, Sanjiao 7, and Stomach 36 are used to revive the spirit, reconnecting you to a profound source of spirit, also called the spiritual burial ground, resolves karma, helping you to let go of anything obstructing your spiritual awakening. Okay? Now, can this lead to psychoses? I'm always worried about overdoing my exposure. One of my teachers back in the day needled that point, and I felt so euphoric. What point? The Due 20 or the Grand Unity? Okay. The next point is Kidney 25, which is called the Storehouse of the Spirit. The Storehouse of the Spirit. This point, the pantry of dreams, visions, and secrets of the heart, where the soul feeds on what it needs to grow, where we find spirit. Kidney 25. Due 11 is called the spirit path or the path of God. This point is used to awaken our soul, our spiritual compass. It helps us to mature in our spirituality. Heart 4, which is known as the spirit path, resolves pain and bitterness from grief harbored in the heart. Heart 7 is the gate of God or the spirit gate. This earth point opens the beauty of one's spirit. Due 24 is called the courtyard of God or the spirit court. Allows you to sit in mindful meditation. UB 44 is the spirit hall or God's parlor. This point, which is an outer shoe of the heart, is where we are one with the spirit of the earth. It's where we are one with the spirit of the earth. and helps, let's see, where we are one with the spirit of the earth, and liberates a mind dwelling on the past by allowing one to digest and learn from life's experiences. It also harmonizes those who suffer from OCD, a racing mind, or stimulates lethargic, bored mind. Just a few more, and then I'm gonna be gone, and then we're gonna have to pick this up again tomorrow. Sorry, my bad. Kidney 23 is called God's area or the spirit seal. Unblocks the expression of the heart. Unlocks the expressions of the heart. May take months to feel the energetics of this point. Ren 8, which is your belly button. Ren 8 is known as the shrine of God or the spirit tower gate. Your belly button is known as the shrine of God or the spirit tower gate. Golden moxa, use this point because you can't needle this point. Golden moxa is used with salt in the belly button. You fill the belly button up with salt and you burn golden moxa on top of the salt. Or you can put flower petals in the belly button. Yes. Gallbladder 13 is known as the root of God or root of spirit. This point imparts a higher wisdom and perspective by aligning with highest emanation of spirit. It is by reaching this root of spirit that the diviner can see the universe in the crack of a turtle shell. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Imparts a higher wisdom and perspective by aligning with highest emanation of spirit. Quote, it is by reaching this root of spirit that the diviner can see the universe in the crack of a turtle shell. I love that. And the last point is Du 10, which is also known as the Tower of the Spirit. This is the divine terrace of the innermost garden of the soul. This point bestows the blessing of sacred inspiration. Those are the points. Okay, so let's see what else I have to say about the liver, and then I'm going to leave y'all alone for the night. Oh, no, I'm not going to leave you alone for the night. I'm going to tell y'all a couple more things. Dang, I had these all bookmarked. Shoot. That's good enough about that. But some things that I want to have you think about for the rest of the week as we're approaching the equinox, okay? So I have my wine that I'm drinking, and then I bought another wine. I've never tried this wine, but I bought the wine because of the name of the wine and the image on the wine bottle. Damn, you guys on IG have to come back, okay? Because an hour went by again. I can't believe it's been that long. Damn, it's 3 hours. My bad. Another hour. So I'm going to log back on in just a second, because the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is takeaways in preparation for the equinox, okay? So y'all feel free to make donations. I'm dropping dimes. Okay, so share. Cool. Done. And reboot. And start. Okay. So, thinking about my own personal studies and preparations for this week, I decided, thinking a lot, and it coming up a lot in the readings this week, about the story I told you at the beginning of this live about Dionysus, and Dionysus being, quote, the savior of mankind, right? Who sacrifices himself to save mankind, and the sacrifice of himself ends up being the sacred sacrament, quote, of drinking the blood and eating the body of Christ. What is the body of Christ? It's psilocybin. It's psychedelic mushrooms. The body of Christ aka Dionysus, aka he who sacrifices himself to save mankind. What is the salvation of mankind? Divine ritual madness that heals the group. The savior of mankind is the psychedelic informed ritual ceremonial madness embodied in the physical manifestation of the goddess, so that she, in ritual madness, can now save mankind. So Dionysus is literally the psychedelic mushroom that becomes the blood of Christ, and the mushroom is the body of Christ. Now, meditating on that, I was like, well, let me get back on my little herbal concoction thing and see what we can make happen. So I bought myself another bottle of red wine tonight, and I picked this one up specifically because of the title, the name, and the little image on the bottle of red wine. The name of the wine is called Prophecy Pinot Noir, and the image is of what white people ended up calling, quote, the court jester, which was specifically fashioned after the god Eshu. So here, who is the god Eshu? The great messenger between heaven and earth, right? He is the owner of the crossroads, right? He is the opener of ceremony and the closer of ceremony. What did the court jester do? The court jester was always hired to get the party started, to warm up the party before the main event. Then, to close out the event, the jester would come back, do a little funny, do a little dance, and then the event would be over. That's why the jesters of the old European court jesters were always pictured. What do we also call them? Harlequins, right? Black and white or black and red. Always black and white or black and red. Okay? A straight up outright theft of Ephi culture. Okay, so this little court gesture is Hermes, aka Mercury, which we are officially in retrograde as of Saturday, aka Eshu, aka Alegba. See that? So I bought that wine, which is called Prophecy. And I was like, okay. So what I'm going to do is take this little unopened bag. I might even get a little bit more inventive than that. I think I am. So I take this little unopened bag of psilocybin, aka psychedelic mushrooms. I take this little bag of psilocybin before I go to bed tonight, and I am going to submerge my little psychedelic mushrooms in the blood of Christ, the body of Christ, the blood of Christ. I'm going to soak or, quote, decoct my psilocybin in my blood of Christ, which I will be sipping on through the entire Ides of March. When did I say the Ides of March is? The 15th through the 28th. So every day I will be taking at least one shot glass of my little, I'll be taking my quote, holy sacrament at least one day, starting tomorrow, of my blood of Christ and body of Christ. I have been thinking about whether or not I should add, I bought a bag of blue lotus flowers. And you can see there, blue lotus flower is a plant that was sacred to the ancient Egyptians. They used it for a variety of ritual, magical, and medicinal purposes. And blah, 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 blah. Right? Now, its primary spiritual use is to facilitate lucid dreaming, prophetic dreams. Right? And so I'm debating. I'll let y'all know. Somebody says yes, add the blue lotus. Okay, there you go, a consensus. So body of Christ, blue lotus, blood of Christ. This is going to be my ceremony until the 28th. Okay, and I'll let y'all know what happens. But y'all gonna be getting some of it because I'm gonna be doing lives every day, so you might get the the side effects of my being in ceremony over the next week. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing is that because I am telling you, one, you need to research Cybele, Cybele, the goddess, because this whole week is a pre-patriarchal, has been celebrated as a pre-patriarchal ceremony to the goddess Cybele. So, researcher, you may or may not find something that resonates with you that you want to incorporate in your week over this next week that honors Cybele. Okay. Two, the equinox, at least according to Bibu Dev Mizra, the equinox is not only the first day of spring, but it is also the last day of the Kali Yuga. So we really need to be doing ceremony of gratitude to the goddess Kali. Gratitude to the goddess Kali, bigging her up, shouting her out, thanking her for her guidance and removal of obstacles, blah, blah, this, that, and such and such. Okay. In ceremony to the goddess Kali, right? In ceremony to the goddess Kali, those of you who still menstruate, I would find a way to incorporate in whatever ceremony you're doing for the equinox, incorporate your blood. Incorporate your blood. Incorporate your blood if you can. Now you can do what we've done when we've gotten together in ceremony. We've taken a candle. So you know Kali's colors. So you can find a candle that's black or blue or red. Black or blue or red. And then if you want to do, that's okay. Those of you who do not menstruate, it is okay. It's not going to make your petition. It's not going to make your conspiracy any less valid or any less powerful. Well, I'll say it won't make it any less valid. What I will say is those who no longer menstruate, according to all ancient texts and beliefs, is that once you stop menstruating, the power of menstruation now remains in your body. Those who, quote, transition into their crone years, or even if it is a surgical entry into your crone years where you no longer bleed, it is said that your power is emboldened because it is believed that your blood is retained in your body. Okay, so it ain't that deep. If you bleed, great, incorporate it into your magical work. If you don't, fine, do your magical work. Okay, now, so an example of some things that we have done together that have produced immediate results, and those of you in the comment section can chime in to say how you witnessed your particular petition immediately responded to when we did that ceremony on November 19th, if you care to share with others. Okay, so one of the things that we did that night was to take a candle. We took an eggplant colored candle of the goddess Oya. And then I took, and I think it was this thing here, my little blade, you feel me? And then we started to, I did 3 names, and then we passed it around all the women that were present, and they all chiseled 3 names into the candle, all over the candle. It was a big candle, all over the candle, you feel me? And then the women who had their blood, some women didn't have blood, that's fine. The women who had their blood, I combined our blood. I took our blood and combined it, and then took my bare hands and took our collective blood and covered the entire candle with all of these names in it with the blood, and then let the blood dry. And then I kept the candle lit until it burnt out. It took about a week for the candle to burn completely out. Okay? Create your own ritual. You can do that. You can do that. Take what resonates with you, incorporate it into your ritual. If it doesn't resonate with you, trust your flesh. It ain't for your ceremony. It ain't for your ritual. What I will say is what I did read in that book is what are some of the ways that you need to worship Kali? It said dancing. It did say dancing, right? What else did it say? It said dancing. It said singing. What else did it say? Think about the energy of Kali. She's turned up. This is amazing. I'm saving the world by killing the demons. She turned up. Oh yeah, same thing. She's turned up. Her skirt is flying all over the place. She's like, this is amazing. I don't get to go to war often enough. This is awesome. You understand what I'm saying? Sekhmet is the same way. As soon as she goes to war, she's like, oh my God, I forgot. This shit is awesome. You feel me? So this, I am just opposed. I feel like we done all the meditating we need to do. If your meditating isn't a moving, radical, expressive, expansive meditation, I feel like we did all the solemn meditation we need to do, especially if we women. We don't need to be doing no solemn meditation. We need to be wildly expansive, radical, and out of bounds. That needs to be our meditation. That needs to be how we quote pray. That needs to be how we cast. You feel me? That's my personal opinion. If that don't resonate with you, baby, don't come for me. What you are a sovereign being. You cast conspiracy the way it moves you. You feel me? Okay. So that being said, so Kali, Sybil, the next literally 2 weeks, because the 15th through the 31st is all big. Boom, 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 boom. Just consecutive. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Where the liver is concerned, at least you can start by incorporating dark leafy greens. So you see me drinking this wine. You feel me? I love it. Thankful for it, and I respect it. But even when I bought this bottle of wine today, I said the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow is go to the grocery store and buy 2 half-gallon jugs, 1 of mixed green juice, and 1 of carrot juice. And every day for the next, until the 31st, I am going to alternate drinking a cup of carrot juice and a cup of mixed green juice. Cup of carrot juice, cup of mixed green juice, cup of carrot juice. I might even throw some beet juice up in there. Beets and dark leafy greens, alternating all the greens. Kale and collards and chard and you name it. Dark leafy greens, the liver loves it. Beets, the liver loves it. Feel me? If you want to add like some milk thistle to intensify your transition into the liver season, get yourself a little bottle of milk thistle tincture to just put a couple of drops in all the juices you drink. Whatever. You feel me? And then I always say that if you're like powering up the liver, if you're starting a process where you're going to do like liver herbs or foods that move stuck liver chi, make sure you're adding fiber to your diet, because the way the liver detoxes, the way the liver purges is whatever is stuck in the liver, whatever is not moving in the liver will end up in your feces. If you do not have enough fiber in your GI to create a good bowel movement, then you will feel gross. You'll feel sick. Oh, another thing you can do, this is for the more gangster of you. I am going to be gentle. I'm not going to be gangster in my transition into the liver season, but there are some of you who need a little gangster in your life. Another great, profound, and very quick way to purge the liver is with a coffee enema. I will not explain how that works physiologically. If you need the explanation, I can teach it on another day. But coffee enemas are the quintessential go-to for a toxic liver. So, and it's not difficult, and it's not uncomfortable, and it's not hard to retain, even for a person it's their first time doing it. It is a pretty mild and gentle way to radically purge the liver. Okay, these are just some things to start with, that you can start with. If you want something a little bit more gangster than that, then you can do a liver gallbladder cleanse, which only takes 24 hours. That you need 2 days off. Even though it's only a one day cleanse, you need a full second day to recover. That is an intense cleanse, but it is short and it is thorough. It's easy to do. It is just intense in its benefit and its outcome. So if that is something that you are interested in doing, then inquire. So those are 3 good things to do when adjusting for the liver, transitioning into the liver season. Also, drink plenty of water. This will make sure that your kidneys are well prepared for your transition from the kidney season to the liver season. Those are pretty easy. Those are pretty basic, bare level. Okay. If you are interested in knowing if you are presenting with either kidney symptoms or liver symptoms, kidney disharmony or liver disharmony, then book a consultation, a 5 elements wellness consultation with me. You can do that by emailing me via EvoEmeTemp @gmail.com. EvoEmeTemp and put 5 elements consult, or if you need a divination, this week and next week are radically momentous opportunities to get a deep ass reading. My readings all week have been over the top. I did 4 readings today. I did 4 readings yesterday. I did 3 on Saturday, and every one of them are just like, you feel me? So this is a monumental time. I will not be doing readings on Wednesday. I will not. I will be in ceremony all day Wednesday leading up to 2 a.m. for the equinox. I will not be doing readings at all on Wednesday. So if you do want to tap into the energy that is palpable and poignant and potent from last week's Saturn Sun Conjunction beginning all the way through the 31st, these 3 other conjunctions and these 3 other big events that are happening, get yourself a reading. I will be doing readings all day tomorrow. As it stands, I only have 1 booked right now, but that changes quickly. So if you want to get a reading tomorrow, I will be taking the last appointment at 8 p.m., the first appointment at 10 a.m. If you want to book a reading for tomorrow, if you want to book a reading for, I will be doing readings on Thursday. I will not be doing readings on Wednesday in preparation for the equinox, but the day of the equinox the day of the equinox, I will be doing readings. I will be doing readings Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So if you want, and then I'll also be doing lives each one of those days so I can tell you the rest of the days of the events that are happening from the 22nd to the 31st. And I'll be talking to you a little bit more in depth about those other events coming up. I see you, the Golden Age Piscean 777. Email me. Let me put it in here in the chat so you can have it. EvoEmeTemp @gmail.com. For those of you tuning in via IG, if you go to my YouTube page, and those of you who are tuning in on my YouTube page, go into the description box below the video and you'll see all the contact information, all the ways that you can make a donation, so on, so on, so on. Okay, how you can get a divination, how you can get a 5 elements wellness consult. The liver season, in my estimation, is the most profound of all the 5 element seasons. I will talk to you about all the transitions from season to season and how to prepare. But to me, the most impactful in your daily life, not only your physical life and what you eat, but even you just heard me read all this awesome, beautiful, dynamic shit about the liver and how it shows up in your life, bringing vision to the root to enhance your self-esteem and to increase your spirit of discernment, especially about what is fundamental in empowering one's life, right? These really monumental ways that the liver season, which is also what? The Aries season, which is also what? The first sign in our annual journey through the 12 houses, which is your power, which is how you present in the world, which is the fire, the confidence, the audacity that you bring to the game. This is the liver as the general. This is the liver as the Hun. This is the liver as the ethereal soul, right? So to me, if you have me tell it, it is the quintessential sign, or the quintessential element, the most impactful element of the entire seasonal transition. So you can get a divination or a 5 elements wellness consultation. so much more I wanted to say. Like I said, I'll be doing this the rest of the week. I think that is as specific as I'm going to be about the liver. I think I covered a lot of ground. I think I've covered a lot of ground with the liver. Yeah. So I'm gonna get ready to wrap up, but I do want to open up for a few minutes. If you have any questions, those of you who are tuning in from IG, those of you who are tuning in from YouTube, if you want to type a question in the comment section, I will give us 10 minutes to answer questions, and then I'll be up off of here. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Voiceovers by Stephanie Marie. Thank you all for your questions and your input and so on and so forth throughout this process. No, I haven't been as diligent about checking into the comments because y'all was on one, but I saw a lot of y'all answering each other's questions. So that's a great way to show up. Let's see. Yes. Just purchased carrots and beets for juicing. Great. Yes. Whenever I drink carrot, beet, and green juice, my skin glows. I need it for my eye health too. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. So anybody have any questions that they want to ask me before we get up off of here? It's 12:27. Nope. All right, cool. So maybe tomorrow, which is Tuesday, there was something else I wanted to read you guys. Where did I write that at? Man. Oh, maybe it's here. Nope. Here it is. Okay. Maybe I'll get into this tomorrow. I'll save this for tomorrow. Yeah, save this for tomorrow. Great, everybody. Those of you who sent emails, I see a lot of you saying I just emailed you. Great. So I will check those. It's already 12:30, so I ain't gonna check them tonight. I'll just be frank with you. I will not check them tonight, but first thing in the morning before I get to working, I will check all of your emails and respond to them so we can book appointments for you. Okay. Yes. Somebody said, did you ever do the TCM course? No. So I'm still working on the apprenticeship and how to execute it. Right. Also, no, that was not supposed to be on Etsy. So the apprenticeship, I'm just debating about what is the best way to facilitate that. Truth be told, it may just be like a series of Zooms, the way that I did a few years ago. I haven't consolidated that yet. And so much is happening, and I'm wearing about 1 million hats. So I know I need to do it. I know I need to do the apprenticeship, but I'm just having to daily prioritize based on what's most present and most urgent in the moment. So, but I also know that going ahead and developing the apprenticeship will solve a lot of problems. It's like the catch-22, right? So anyway, I'll keep y'all posted on that. I'm not going to leave y'all in the dark about that. It's something that's always in the front of my mind, is having a more official way to conduct an apprenticeship program. That doesn't teach kind of like the overall or the general idea like this, but more strategically how to take those ideas and apply them, how to take those ideas, even as a novice, even as one who is not pursuing a career in medicine, how to apply this to your life in a way that is immediately impactful. That's what I'm trying to create. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. Again, I will be doing a live tomorrow. I am debating about whether or not I will be doing a live on Wednesday, because I told you I'm spending the whole day in ceremony on Wednesday in preparation for the peak of the equinox at 2:00 Thursday morning. I'm gonna be in ceremony all day Wednesday. So I'll let you guys know probably Wednesday morning whether or not I intend to do a live on Wednesday. I'm leaning towards no, but I might change my mind. Y'all know how I be. I'm all y'all child. I'm like the wind. I say one thing and the next hour I'm saying something totally different. You feel me? So we'll see about that. But definitely Thursday I will be doing a live. Definitely Friday, definitely Saturday. So I'll be doing lives pretty much, even if it's not like this, because there's a lot of editing that I want to do to get shorts and what's the other word? I can't think of the other word, but like longer clips from extremely long videos like this one, like not just the 1 minute shorts, but like, chunks of videos to start posting, because over the last maybe 2 months, there have been some really, really dope ass lives with really, really vital chunks in there. And most people ain't trying to wade through no 4 or 5 or 7-hour live to get the goods. That's why I'm always encouraging you guys to leave timestamps in the comments for the videos that you like the most. Leave timestamps. I use them timestamps. I haven't edited any of these videos to like apply the timestamps, but I use them when clips. Thank you. Chapter clips. So I use the timestamps. It really does make my work easier when I know what it is that you found was the most useful from the video. I can pick up from there and make the clips or make the shorts. So I'm going to take maybe a couple of days to the lives that y'all get to be like shorter videos of the longer ones, and also shorts and clips. So do that over the next few days. If you like something that stood out over maybe the last month, timestamp it in the comments so it makes my work easier. And so that may be some of the lives that I do. I don't think I'm going to do another live this long this week, but y'all know me. It's 4 hours tonight, and then it'll be 8 hours. It'll be 8 hours in 2 nights, right? So we'll see. But anyway, so when you go to sleep tonight, just say out loud, may the answers to my questions come in my dreams, or may the clarity I require in my life come to me in my dreams, or whatever it is. Say a little meditation, cast a little conspiracy before you go to sleep every night this week and next week, and see what the mother has in store for you. Oh, damn. Golden Age Piscean 777, you are the answer to my prayers. Truly grateful for you. Thank you so much. Wow, that's probably the most profound compliment I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. Oh, great, Queen Bee. You did the water ritual. That's awesome. So maybe I'll share that with you guys tomorrow, because I'm literally on my last. I'm on my last. I gotta go. I'm on the brink. So I'll share with you some more on tomorrow. In the meantime, sleep well. May the goddesses answer to your conspiracies, response to your conspiracies, be 1,000 times more than you ever imagined. Yes. May it be I just want to say, I don't see the brother up on here, but there was a brother that I read today who's been following my channel for some time. This was the first time we talked, but I see him up here often. And he paid to get a consultation today, but he really just wanted to talk, which was fine. He wanted to talk. He paid for the time to talk. And at the end of it, he was like, man, this is really helpful. I just want to send you another donation, just another donation. Thank you for taking the time. And he was like, how much should I send you? I still have a hard time I still feel the way about asking for money. You feel me? But then he was like, tell me how much you want. I was like, I can't tell you that. Whatever you decide to donate is will be accepted, and I will pray on it like I do everybody else's donations, that whatever you give will be returned to you times 3. You feel me? And so he was like, well, just give me a number. You say, and I'll do it. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, I'll tell you this. I was like, whatever you donate, just make sure it's in multiples of 9. Make sure that when it's, reduced down, it equals the number 9. Let's just say that, right? And I'll be honest, y'all, I was not expecting his response. I'm going to share it with you just because it just really kicked off this week for me in a profound way because of the ceremony, the spontaneous ceremony that I did during that blood moon. This brother sent me $999 today after paying me $180 for the wellness consultation to just talk. He sent me a donation of $999 today. Right? I was like, damn, that is really goddamn profound. It was really profound. You understand? So I am really humbled by, I am really grateful for, I am really just so appreciative of how you guys interact with me, how honest you are with me. And, and also when you explain to me, there's an email, I've already asked the sisters permission. There's an email that I from a woman who I read about 3 weeks ago. I did a reading for 3 weeks ago. It's long, but it's quite easily, actually, not quite possibly, quite easily, the best review I have received for my divination services. It was long. It was like 3-4 paragraphs long. But baby, it was so good. And she started out in the first paragraph talking about I had an attitude. I had an attitude because when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. She said, I had an attitude with that homework you gave me from the reading, right? She was like, I didn't want to do it. I had an attitude about it or something to that effect. And then she goes on to talk about how profound it was and how immediately impactful the homework was. Because I told y'all, when I do divination for y'all, I give y'all homework. I give y'all assignments that I follow up on. I give y'all homework. You feel me? And her review, I'm telling you, is the best one I've ever received. So I'm going to share that with you guys, probably in the email or on my Facebook groups or something like that. But I asked her, she was like, yeah, you can share it. You can share it. I think y'all will get a kick out of it the same way I did, because her writing style, everything, it was just dope and it was funny. And you could still sense how profound it was. So get your readings. I'm going to share her review. I wanted to share and really shout out. I don't want to say his name in case, he ain't with it, because I didn't ask him. I didn't tell him I was going to share that story, but I wanted to share with you guys. Not only that, I got chunky money this week. So that was chunky money, right? $999. So generous. But the day before that, I got a check in the mail for $114 because I want to, I was, there was, one of those mass lawsuits. And it was about this company I used to work for. And I didn't even remember. And I got $114 in the mail yesterday, or day before yesterday, Saturday. I was like, look at this little chunky money coming through. Okay. And then the brother added to that today. I was like, look at that. And then y'all were really generous Saturday with your donations during that long ass live we did on Saturday. So all of you who donated, and I didn't call your name out in real time because I wasn't checking my text messages. Thank you so much for your donations. It started this week off with a bang. And I'm like, yes, goddess, more of this, more of this, more of this. We have a world to create. Okay? We have a temple to create, for one, but definitely we got a world to create. Then it's going to require radical, boundless resources, just like the top of this plumage of radical and limitless possibilities of the visionary liver, which is showing itself as the top of this tree. Okay. Nourished by all the dreams, ambitions, prayers casted by our ancestors, fortifying all these possibilities. We need that. We need that now. It's because you're doing the work of the divine and you're in alignment. I appreciate y'all so much. Yes, I have a vision, an immediate vision. I want to buy one of these big old buildings that have been abandoned in the city and they're just gorgeous. I want to buy one of these buildings. And those of you who decide that you want to do this revolutionary, evolutionary goddess work full time, we have a dope, wonderful, awesome ass place to live and to coexist and to create programs and have a music studio and produce our own independent film and movies, right? That inspire. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I. Child, look, I have a whole vision. Feel me? So thank you so much, goddess. Thank you so much, our mothers, children who are watching me right now at 12:42 in the morning. This is going to be a radical year, you guys. It's going to be a radical year. It's going to be a radical year. So bless up, rest up. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Let's see.